All right, everyone, welcome
It's okay.
to.
You'll get it together.
Yes, we will. Welcome to another installment, session, whatever you want to call it, of Revolution News and Information. Today we're doing the Sunday session. We don't usually do a Sunday session, but we tried to get our other guest on, um, and they will be on tomorrow. I'm I'm gonna keep it hush hush until it's time to actually say something, and I want to get. All right,
Oh,
everyone, now I
it's
can hear
okay. You'll
myself.
get it
Hang on a
together.
second. Yes, we will. There we go. I just turned that off. All right, there we go. It is 5/22/2016. Welcome to Revolution News and Information, and tonight we've got Corrine. How do you say your last name? Go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
Hi, I'm Corrine Walker.
Hello, Corrine Walker. She'll be starting to co-host our show very soon. We're still getting her in the works. Speaking of which, did you check that virus scan and did it find anything?
It did not find anything, and I did do all that good
All right.
stuff.
All right.
So, got that all taken care of.
Very good. Very good.
So,
All
yeah,
right. So
yeah,
let's start talking freedom of speech.
yes. Which is one of our many rights that God gave us, but that, but the government and media want to take away from us freedom of speech. I guess my biggest question I was talking to you earlier about is, do we really believe in freedom of speech, or do we just believe in it for ourselves? Because our freedoms are not just about, um, it's not just about me or you. It's about everybody. It's about, do we have the right to speak, and you know does everyone have the right to speak without worrying about any, how do I put it, um,
Consequences.
revocation, you know, for, um, without retaliation. You know, in other words, like I've told other people, if the KKK came to your town and spoke, do you think they have the right to speak? I like to bring up groups that people are not overly fond of. I'm not overly fond of them. I don't really care to hear what they've got to say. I don't agree with them, but I do agree with their right to speak. Just like Westboro Baptist Church. I don't like what they've got to say. I don't like what they do. I think that what they're doing and saying is wrong, disrespectful, rude, crass, whatever you want to say. But in the same token, do I believe that they have the right to say what they're saying? Most definitely, I believe they have the right to say what they're saying, and I don't believe people have the right to hit them, throw things at them, threaten them, or anything else just because they're saying something we don't want to hear, you know, or, people shouldn't be fired for what they say on Facebook either. People have a right to be themselves. I think it's ridiculous that, somebody posts something on Facebook and the next thing you know, they could lose their job. They could, which I've heard of happening several times, at least several times, in the recent past. And it's like, wait a minute. When do we get our freedom of speech? When we have to worry about losing our livelihood to take care of our families, you know, then when do we have our rights? And should we just stand by and accept the fact that we don't have, that people are not allowing us to have our rights, whether it be our boss, whether it be the government, whether it be other people, you know?
Hey, that does
Um,
that does actually bring an interesting topic. Corporations think that they're above the law. That's why the FBI is a
right,
corporation. Your local police department is a corporation. That is why your town is a corporation. They think they're above the law. They think that that is actually a loophole. technically to a point it is, but it shouldn't be. Go ahead.
Right. I mean, I understand if you're a Christian organization and somebody's posting pornography on their site and that, they're probably not going to be a good representation for your company. But don't you think you should have checked into that before you hired them in the first place? You know?
Sounds like trolls to me.
I mean, yeah, I mean, let's use some logic here. Why don't we stop and think before we do things instead of afterwards going, oh, I didn't know I hired a pervert. Well, maybe if you had checked into it, you'd have known. You know? Maybe if you had checked into it, you would have known their viewpoints. You know? Instead of after the fact, and then you go, oops, you know? And then you say, well, oh, but this goes against what we stand for. Well, you should have checked into that before you hired them. Now that you hired them, you know, I really don't think you shouldn't be able to fire somebody for that. You know, I'm a Christian, and if I started a corporation and I was hiring people, I would be checking them out to see what they believed in and see what they stand for before I hired them. Because it only stands to reason, logic. Use your brain, you know. You don't want to hire somebody that is not standing up for what you believe in, you know. Just my personal opinion. I mean, I believe in freedom of speech, but I also believe if I own the company, I have a right to hire and fire whoever the heck I want. But you can't. But once you hire them, firing them for what they say should not be allowed. You know what I mean? I mean, you can fire them for not doing their job. Go ahead.
If you did own your own corporation, and you found out that they worship Satan, what would you do?
I would probably sit down with them and have a talk if I found out afterwards, and I would explain to them that they have a right to believe whatever they want to believe, but that I would ask them to please limit, like, how much they're going to put that out there.
Right.
And I'd probably put them in a position where they're not going to – I wouldn't fire them because I've already hired them and I should have been more careful in checking it out. But I'd probably put them in a position where they're not, like, putting my scriptures on for me to read or anything like – you know, I wouldn't put them in a position that could hurt my message to people. But I'm not going to fire somebody once I've already hired them. You know, if they come to me ahead of time and say I'm a Satanist, I'm going to say, well, this probably isn't the job you want because this is to promote the Word of God.
Right. You know? Well, they probably wouldn't.
You're going to have to deal with me praying.
They probably wouldn't come and even apply for your job. But I'm just saying, you know, what if they just kept that to themselves and didn't bring it around you? I mean, that would be fine, you know. In my
right.
If you could believe,
and I wouldn't even care if they posted on Facebook.
You could believe in whatever
they wanted on Facebook.
You could believe in whatever you want to believe in, and I don't have a problem with it personally. I don't have a problem with somebody's past per se. There would be some things that would turn me off, but if they're not bringing it to the job, then I wouldn't mind.
Right. And if they're espousing things that are against what I believe, I'd probably ask them, please don't say that you work for my company on your Facebook page or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't hide anything. Don't get me wrong. I don't hide things. If somebody asks me, so I hear you got a Satanist working for you, I'd say, yeah, I didn't find out till afterwards. They kept it to themselves, and they don't bring it to work, and they're not in a position that I have to worry about. Are they trying to sabotage the Word of God? You know, and it depends. You know, if I have a bike repair shop, I really don't care what you believe. You know, as long as you're doing the job, I don't care. Now, if I'm doing a Christian broadcasting show, I care a little bit more. You know what I mean? But as an executive or whatever, you should be checking into that beforehand. And if you don't find out, then put them in a position where they're not going to hurt what you're doing. But firing them because they have an opinion or because they post on their Facebook page that they feel this way or that way, that, you know, it's wrong.
Yeah,
It's just wrong. Everybody has the right to say what they think and what they believe. You know, I mean, just like I've been discriminated against for being a Christian. I get people all the time to tell me, you know, you really shouldn't say these kind of things because you offend people. Well, you know what? Put on your big boy pants and suck it up. You know, because I've been offended plenty of times. And when I was a kid and got offended, my mom said, so what are you going to do about it? And I'd say, probably nothing. Well, if you ain't going to do anything about it, then shut up. You know, my mom was a real tough lady. She didn't put up with whining. You're not going to sit and whine about something. If you ain't going to do anything about it, then just shut up. If you're planning on doing something about it, let's look at what's the best way to do this.
There are people out there that want to shove their religion down our throats. Like, per se, give a good example. Hey, the Muslims. If they believe in, they got to force their beliefs on other because it's in their Bible. Well, that is not freedom of speech, is it? To force somebody.
No.
Or to attack somebody.
Sharing and forcing are two different things.
And if they're going to sit there and attack somebody, that ain't right either. If I verbally attack you for something, I'm not going to go into an example either because I'm actually trying to not age restrict this video. but to sit there and attack somebody for what they believe in, like I saw a video, a big mob of people was going after this Trump supporter. They were literally attacking them because they believed Donald Trump could actually be good for this country. Okay, what if he gets in office and actually is good for this country? What if he actually does something right for this country where Obama has failed us?
Right. And whether he does or not, a person has a right to believe that this candidate is the right candidate for us. I don't really endorse any of the candidates, to tell you the truth. But
I'm with you on that, actually.
You know, if somebody endorses Hillary, and I don't like Hillary, I ain't even going to play that I like her, okay? I'm not going to physically attack them. I may disagree with them, but I'm not going to call them names either. I'm going to tell them why I disagree, why I don't like her, and make it about using your mind, not physically attacking somebody. And if somebody else went to attack somebody that was supporting Hillary, I would step in and be like, what are you doing? You don't attack people, you know? And you know, I get a real kick out of the liberals, okay? And I'm not saying conservatives are much better, okay? Because both sides got their crap, okay? But they say, oh, we're for nonviolence. We're for, let's take away people's gun rights. Let's take away people's right to speak about Jesus Christ in public, and all this other crap over. But then, oh, there's a Donald Trump supporter. We can beat the hell out of that person, Oh, okay, so once again we're back to your freedom of speech as long as it's what you want to hear. It's not freedom of speech if the only time you want to hear something is when it suits your purposes, when it makes you feel good, I listen to people come into my own home where I do have the domain, where I have the right to say, I don't want to hear it, get out. And I still let people talk because I think that you can't learn anything if you don't let people talk, whether they are for you or against you, as far as what they believe. And people will tell me, I don't believe what you believe, and I say, that's fine, defend it. Because I believe if you believe in something, you should be able to defend it. Walk the walk, don't just talk the talk, And what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought.
Happens to the best of us.
I think that, huh?
I said it happens to the best of us, actually.
Right. I mean, my dad, he was in the Army. He served for 20-some years in the Army. And he used to tell me all the time, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll fight for your right to say it. And he used to tell me all the time, you don't have to like it. And he used to test me on things all the time. I would say, oh, that person makes me mad, and he'd say, what did they say, or and I would tell him, and he'd say, okay, so do they have the right to say that? And I'd say, well, yeah, they have a right to say it, but I don't like it. And he'd say, no one said you had to like what they have to say.
Real quick, I want to
You don't have to like what
I want to
somebody
cover for. Sorry for interrupting. First of all, real quick, I want to cover for the callers that are in there. If you want to get on the show, and if you have a comment or a question, I welcome it. Press *61. I'll see you in the queue, and then I'll bring you on the show when I have a moment, and I'll cue you in. Don't worry. Corrine, go ahead.
Yes, I'd love to have people call because I'd love to, be able to talk, and hear what people have to say about, freedom of speech or any of our freedoms, I mean, freedom of religion, that's another one that gets trampled on all the time, too. But one of my friends, she sent me a message on Facebook saying, well, if a Satanist posted something on their Facebook, I would just write something on there saying that, my company or I do not agree with this theology.
Hey, we're getting comments from beyond the YouTubes here, the interwebs.
Yeah. Yes. I'll have to tell her to chat over here on YouTube. So everybody can see it.
Or just call in and dial 61, and I'll see you in the queue, and I'll bring you on the show. Sorry about the dead air, everyone. It's going to happen every now and then. But yeah, I like what you're saying. Let's continue. Go ahead.
Say what?
I said, I like what you're saying. Let's continue. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay. Well, I was trying to think of where I left off. But
that actually happens a lot.
Mainly, I'm just... Huh?
I said that actually happens a lot. And remember, there's a delay between you and I.
Yeah. I'm having brain dead moments today. Earlier, man, I was talking forever with you about this. Just that, it's...
That's why we don't do scripted shows. It's because it's not spontaneous. It's not real. If you did scripted shows,
right.
I mean, it'll be like, oh, today such and such happened and such. Well, such and such. Here's some such and such emails from people across the nation giving this info on such and such.
Right. They may sound good, but they're not real because they're scripted. If you don't have a moment where you have the brain farts and stuff, you got to wonder, okay, how real are they? I just feel very, very strongly that in any of our freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to live the way we want to live is a right that we should all have, and that means honoring other people's rights too.
Real quick, while you're gathering some more thoughts, I want to quickly say tomorrow we're going to have 2 shows back to back, possibly. We're definitely going to have Ed Johnston in the evening at 7 o'clock Central, but we could actually be going on the air between 2 and 3 o'clock Central. It's all dependent. I'm still waiting on a message back, but definitely be looking for that tomorrow. I hope it happens tomorrow. Something came up with them. Ain't gonna tell you who it is. All I know is they're on their own schedule, and I respect that. You have the floor again.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing who that might be.
Well, you already know, but that's beside the point.
I was trying to play dumb for you, but okay.
Hey, they ain't gonna get it out of us until it's time. Until I'm time to share it. Until I'm ready to share it. And then we're trying.
I just tell people it's gonna be good. Make sure you're there.
Oh yeah,
what's going on?
We're also trying to get another guest on the show. Pretty important person that they are, but hey, I like to keep
Yes.
the guests
Yes. Oh,
private
I hope that works out.
until they come on, and then it's going to be like, oh wow, it's them. Okay, but yeah, let's get back on topic.
Yeah,
At
that's gonna be.
at what point
Yeah.
like earlier today you were actually giving me a good example, protesting at a funeral. Let's go into that.
Oh yeah, when we were talking about Westboro Baptist Church and they protest at funerals and they say horrible things and stuff, and people think that gives them the right to hit them or hurt them and that. And like I was saying, I don't like what they have to say. I disagree with what they have to say vehemently. I don't like one word that they have to say because they're misrepresenting God, saying God hates fags. That's not true, you know. But but you know, the thing is, they still have the right to say whatever they want, no matter how stupid they are. You know, people have the right to be an idiot if they want to be. You know, and you know, unfortunately, as much as I love God, people do have the right to say what they want to say. They will answer to God one day, but I'm not their judge, and neither is anybody else, and we don't have the right to impose our penalty on them by smacking them around or hurting them. And for people to sit and laugh and think that's funny, or to think that it's okay because they said something they didn't like, you know, it's wrong. Plain and simple, it's wrong, and that's what people need to understand. That's what you and I and many other people like Ed Johnston, who's going to be coming on your show, that's what we have to believe, you know. That's what we have to believe in, is having the right to be able to speak and the right to be able to have our own opinions. You know, like Ed Johnston, I love him to death, okay? I will stand by him no matter what. But him and I have plenty of things that we do not agree on. Like I was telling you the other night, I sat up till 4 o'clock in the morning arguing with him. But I can't even call it an argument. We were debating with each other. You know, we had disagreements, but we were respectful of each other. We care about each other, and we care that each other has an opinion. But when you have the mindset that person has the right to speak how they want, you know, then you start speaking to somebody with respect. We didn't agree on the subject, you know. It's a subject that's close to both of our hearts, but we were still able to speak to each other with respect, you know. And that's what it's about. What we're trying to do is we're saying we want our rights, and we don't have to agree with you, you know. And if I don't like what you got to say, I don't have to listen to you.
We actually,
you know, I can walk away.
In the coming shows.
Say what?
In the coming shows, I'd actually like to teach people how to be respectful but still have your freedom of speech too, because, you know, everybody believes that freedom of speech only counts when it's convenient for them. And that's just wrong. That's just wrong.
Right. Right. And see, you know, we could get into name calling and all that when we disagree, but to me, that's lowering yourself down to a kindergarten level. When I was 5 years old, I called names because, you know, I was losing the argument. You know, you're just a poopy head, you know, but we're supposed to be adults. You know? So calling each other, we may as well say you're a poopy head as to say anything else that we say. Does it sound better because we use curse words and we, you know, yell louder and stronger? You know, there's a way to disagree, you know, and not be disrespectful of each other, and to respect the other person's viewpoint, and to respect the fact that they have just as much right to the viewpoint as you have to your viewpoint. You know, like Edward and I, we were talking about abortion. I don't believe in abortion. He does. You know, and we sat up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and we ended up laughing and joking with each other, and I told him he was a smart ass. You know, oh, I shouldn't have said that word. I'm sorry.
Wait, what did you say?
But, you know, but we didn't get disrespectful with each other. We didn't call each other names or anything like that. You know, yes, freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want. But if you really care about how you treat other people or how you want to be treated, then you treat people with respect. you know. And so when it comes to that, you know, we have the right. And another thing that was brought to my attention, there is a difference in freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Okay? People want to hide under freedom of speech, and when all they're doing is, okay, like that guy, he peed in a jar and put a cross in it, you know?
What?
And
I haven't heard of that
money
one.
for this.
I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, you haven't?
No,
I gotta
tell me
look up
about
his
it.
name, see if I can find that.
I'm pretty sure I
this
don't want
guy,
to see it. Actually,
You're probably right. It's really defamatory towards Christianity. But if he had just peed in a jar, put a cross in it, and said whatever he wanted to say, I could care less. But he did this and got government grant money for it.
What?
And Hillary praised him for it.
Oh.
For art expression.
Oh.
And that said, we as Christians need to put up with it because it's freedom of speech.
Technically.
No, I don't think so, because if that was the case, then Penthouse would be able to put their magazines in elementary schools because it's freedom of speech. There are limits. You know, there's a difference between freedom of speech and freedom of expression. You can express your art however you want, okay? By all means, but there are limits when you're expressing your art. And if you want to take my tax money that they put into grants to do something like that, that's wrong, okay? Why are we paying for some guy to pee in a jar? For crying out loud, I could be making money then. I can pee in a jar. And that's called freedom of expression and freedom of speech, and they have that right. You know,
I kind of don't want to...
You have the right to have your artwork.
I don't want to bring up on air exactly what I've seen, but I've seen things. I've seen a lot of things. Some things will just make me sick,
right.
And I'm not going to go into it.
Right. Right. Yeah, you told me about some of those. I don't think you want to say that. We'll have everybody puking.
No, let's not.
And you know what? They want to do that stuff, so be it. But that's not the same thing as freedom of speech. Okay? If you want to do something, you want to limit it to the people that are interested in it, other than when it affects children. Okay? Let me put it this way. When you affect innocent people who don't have the power to tell you no, that's not okay. That's not freedom of speech. That's not freedom of expression. When you hurt somebody else, it's wrong. And, you know, I'm talking about pedophiles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know?
touchy subject at the moment.
Up a little bit.
we just got out of a situation with that. We don't want to reignite anything of that nature on this channel because we just got out of that with a few people. Names will not be mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it off air. I'll tell you about it off air.
You know, I'm just saying, you know, if you're hurting an innocent, you're not using your freedoms then, because then you have violated somebody else's space. If I'm speaking and you don't like what I have to say, you can walk away. You don't have to listen to it. But if you're speaking, but if you're putting your hands on somebody, let me put it, if you're putting your hands on somebody to hurt somebody else in any way, shape, or form, that's not a freedom of yours, because now you have violated someone else's space. See, somebody can say, I don't like your Christian beliefs, I think it's blah, blah, blah. As a matter of fact, I was in a debate group where this one guy said Jesus was a dead Jew on a stick. Now, I could take offense at that, or I could just look at it for the idiot he is.
Yeah, let's look at it for the idiot he is.
Because it's stupid. Do what?
Let's look at it for the idiot that he is, because...
Right. You know, so I didn't get offended by what he said. I just said, you know, you may want to look closer at what you're talking about, you know, because you're turning your back on love. And I don't think anybody in this land can afford to do that. You know, but if you so choose, go right on ahead. You know, I could have got offended at what he said. I could have gotten mad at what he said. But you know what? I also have the freedom to be offended, and I also have the freedom to get mad about it. It's what do you do with it? And if you're going to do something that hurts somebody else, then you no longer have that freedom. If your freedom hurts somebody, and I'm not talking about hurts their feelings, okay? We're all grown adults. Get over it.
Right.
You know, put your big boy or big girl panties on and deal with it. But I'm talking about if you physically hurt somebody or you do say something that can cause somebody else harm. You know, if you go tell somebody something knowing that that person's going to get hurt after you tell them, then that's the same thing as you going and doing it yourself. You know, there is a responsibility that comes with our freedom.
Can you actually
that responsibility
attack?
is to use our brain.
Can you actually attack somebody using your voice? Can you attack somebody using your voice?
Yes. I suppose you could. You know, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's times I've felt attacked, but then when I look back on it, I'm like, you know what? Really, that's just their opinion. So I don't think, using just your voice, no, you can't attack somebody. Unless, you know, if you go and tell somebody and you know that the person you're telling is violent and they're going to take what you said, which you used your voice, and go and physically hurt somebody, then you use your voice to attack somebody. Other than that, I don't think with your voice you really can attack somebody. You can hurt somebody's feelings, yes, but you can't really attack them. Calling them names, yes, it's rude, it's disrespectful, and it really shouldn't be done, but you can live through that. You know, I've had people say hurtful things through my life. I lived through it, and I got stronger because of it. And I learned how to address it the next time I had to deal with somebody talking to me that way, you know. And I learned whether or not I wanted to deal with somebody talking to me in a certain way, you know. When I'm on a show like this, I'll deal with whatever people want to say to me. When I'm in my home, if you want to come in and talk a certain way, there's the door. You may leave. You know what I mean? But I don't think you can really attack somebody by what you say. You can say things that hurt people's feelings. But people can get over that. Yeah, you know? I don't tell people be nice, be respectful.
I'm actually looking here on definition of freedom of speech. It's the right to express any opinions without censorship or restraint. I've got to get into some examples of that, because if we're covering free of speech, then we need.
Please do, because I was thinking of some.
We need to do it full spectrum here.
Right. I hope you're going to bring up Facebook.
Oh. Facebook, also known as Fedbook to some. Let's see.
Yep.
Here. Oh, man. Because freedom of speech is a really touchy.
When you said that, I thought about how many times people are losing their pages and stuff due to that stuff.
Very true, very true.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, man.
Yeah, due to saying what you believe. You know, without censorship, but yet places like Facebook, YouTube, I really haven't dealt with Twitter too much to know what they do. You know, but there's quite a few so-called social sites that do censor you. They'll send you warnings saying, don't say that. Now, some things, yeah, they probably should be censored, but other things, wait a minute, you know, don't censor what I say. You know, but each person can censor their own stuff. If I don't want to see or hear something, I don't have to. If I look on my page, like a couple of times I went on my page and seen somebody put a naked picture up or something, I just put on there, I don't want to see this post.
Hey,
I don't need Facebook to tell them they're not allowed to post. I can censor my own page as to what I do or do not want on my page. I think everybody should have that right.
Are you sitting next to your computer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to send you this, and you can read this to us, because I think it really needs to be covered. Go ahead and click on that link. And it's going to take you to the legal definition of freedom of speech. Go ahead.
The legal definition, freedom of speech, the right guaranteed by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution to express beliefs and ideas without unwarranted government restriction. Democracies have long grappled with the issue of the limits, if any, to place on the expression of ideas and beliefs. The dilemma dates back at least to ancient Greece, when the Athenians, who cherished individual freedom, nevertheless prosecuted Socrates for his teachings, claiming that he had corrupted young people and insulted the gods. The framers of the Constitution guaranteed freedom of speech. The framers of the Constitution guaranteed freedom of speech and expression to the citizens of the United States with the First Amendment, which reads in part, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Almost since the adoption of the Bill of Rights, however, the judiciary has struggled to define speech and expression and the extent to which freedom of speech should be protected. Some, like Justice Hugo L. Black, have believed that freedom of speech is absolute. But most jurists, along with most U.S. citizens, agree with Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr., who felt that the Constitution allows some restrictions on speech under certain circumstances. To illustrate this point, Holmes wrote, the most stringent protection of free speech would not protect a man in falsely shouting fire in a theater and causing a panic, which is Schenck versus United States, 249 U.S. 47, 39S, CT 24763 LED 470 1919. Okay, during the 2 centuries since the adoption of the First Amendment, the U.S. Supreme Court has held that some types of speech or expression may be regulated. At the same time, the court has granted protection to some areas of expression that the framers clearly had not contemplated. Did you want to go into the public forum thing?
Go ahead.
Public forum regulation. When the government attempts to regulate the exercise of speech rights in traditional public forums such as parks or public sidewalks, the U.S. Supreme Court examines whether the regulation restricts the content of the speech or merely regulates the time, manner, and place in which the speech is delivered. If the law regulates the content of the expression, it must serve a compelling state interest and must be narrowly written to achieve that interest. Perry Education Association versus Perry Local Educators Association. I'm not going to read all those numbers again.
No, you don't
Restrictions on speech in a public forum. Huh?
I said, no, you don't have to.
Okay. Restrictions on speech in a public forum also may be upheld if the expressive activity being regulated is of a type that is not entitled to full First Amendment protection, such as obscenity. Laws that regulate the time, manner, and place, but not content of speech in a public forum receive less scrutiny by the court than do laws that restrict the content of expression. These so-called content-neutral laws are permissible if they serve a significant government interest and allow ample alternative channels of communication. It is not necessary that a content-neutral law be the least restrictive alternative, but only that the government's interest would be achieved less effectively without it. Now, I got a problem with that.
Well, go ahead.
This
Tell us
is our Supreme Court that has decided this, but I have a problem with this, okay? Because it's saying that, if the government's interest would be achieved less effectively without it. Wait a minute. When did it become about the government's interest and not the people's interest?
There you go.
So now, even our Supreme Court is ruling that our freedom of speech can be restricted if somehow the government will not benefit from it. I've got a problem with that.
That's
I've
quite
got a
shocking.
problem with the idea that I can't say something that might hurt our government, especially when our government is a corporation that's making millions and billions of dollars off of us every single day and ain't sharing the wealth. I've got a problem with the Supreme Court backing up something like that. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Tell me about it.
And it says the court reaffirmed in Thomas versus Chicago Park District that local governments do not violate the First Amendment when they require the obtaining of a permit before individuals can hold large-scale rally events in public parks. Why? Why should they be able to require a permit? In this case, the Chicago Park District denied a rally permit to a group that had sought to hold a hemp fest. A hemp fest. Ooh, what's going to happen there? The park district denied the permit because of violations of park rules at previous events run by the organizers. The group challenged the denial, arguing that the park district could use its unfettered discretionary power to deny permits to those who held unpopular or controversial political views, such as support for the legalization of marijuana. The U.S. Supreme Court held that the park district's ordinance was a constitutionally permissible, content-neutral regulation of time, manner, and place. It was directed toward all activity in a public park, not just toward communicative or political activity. It did not constitute subject matter censorship in any way. The court explained that the park district's object was to coordinate multiple uses of limited space, to assure preservation of park facilities, to prevent dangerous, unlawful, or impermissible uses, and to assure financial accountability for damages caused by an event. That's the biggest load of hooey I ever read in my life. Well, maybe not the biggest, but it's close. They had the right to refuse the permit because there may be unlawful activity, which, by the way, hemp is not unlawful or illegal. Neither is marijuana, but marijuana is illegal. It's not unlawful. Okay?
Exactly, Ed Johnston.
Which you could probably explain better than me, the difference between legal and lawful.
No, Ed Johnston can explain it better than we can.
Who?
Ed Johnston, our friend Edward Johnston.
Yeah, I know. I know, but he's not on tonight.
Yeah, he'll be on tomorrow night.
He was the first one to start teaching me about, lawful and legal, and, the differences. It's quite interesting. But, it blows my mind that the Supreme Court does not uphold the Constitution as they made an oath to do. It's one thing, it's bad enough that our politicians ain't doing it. But I suppose when you change things and make it to where once you become a Supreme Court justice, you have a lifelong contract, then you have, the ability to say and do whatever you want and to rule against the Constitution. You don't have to worry about anybody kicking you out of your job because you've got a lifelong contract, which if you ever followed David Barton, who has a lot of the historical writings, he has the largest collection of private writings, from our country's forefathers. But what is it? The largest privately held collection. And he was sharing that back then they had so many years, and I don't remember what it was, but the U.S. Supreme Court justices only had so many years that they served before they had to step down. So, and now it's a lifelong thing. The other thing that he had brought up was the Supreme Court did not have the power that it does now. The Supreme Court could not just say, well, this is the way it's going to be, and everybody had to just follow suit with the Supreme Court. There's supposed to be a balance of power, which they don't use the way they're supposed to, okay? The Supreme Court checks up on the legislative branch. The legislative branch checks up on the presidential or executive branch, and the executive branch is supposed to check up on the justice branch, But they don't do that. They just all work together and collude together, coerce, whatever the word is. They just basically conspire together to screw us, for no better word to say. I know I should be a little bit better with my language, but I can't think of a better word, because really, that's exactly what I feel like. It's like we're just all bending over and taking it, which I'm getting pretty dang tired of, and I'm exercising my right of freedom of speech to say that.
Yeah, that actually brings it brings me to another point. You can only take so much before enough is enough. Go ahead.
Right. I agree with you. And the thing is Are we going to lay down and just let people keep taking away our rights, or are we going to stand up and say, you know what, I don't care what you say, I'm not going to shut my mouth. I'm going to keep talking about what I need to talk about, and I'm also going to respect somebody else's right to talk about what they want to talk about, you know, and, you know, walking the walk and talking the talk and walking the walk with this. And I hate when I do that. But
you're doing fine.
What were we talking about? Being able to stand up and say, no matter what, I'm going to keep my right of freedom of speech or freedom of religion or the right to bear arms. I'm going to keep my rights. Thank you very much. I appreciate your suggestion with your ordinances and your statutes. However, I'm inclined to disagree with your statutes and ordinances, so take them to somebody who would rather agree with you. You know, and I understand it doesn't go that easy. I understand people have been getting arrested, killed, and everything else for our rights. But that's what it's all about. You know, united we stand, or divided we fall. And that's what our choices are. We need to either stand together or we will fall separately. You know, and so many in our country, you know, I started relating to people in the Revolutionary War time, because I kept wondering, you know, how did they do it, and why was there so few people that were fighting compared to the population that was here? And then I thought about it. Look at our time now, where we're saying, wrong answer, government, you're doing wrong. You're acting just like the king did back in the 1700s, and we're not going to take this. And you tell people, and they go, well, I know that they're trampling our rights, but there's nothing we can do about it, so we're just going to lay down and let somebody keep walking all over us. And I think that must have been the attitude they had way back, you know, in the 1700s too. Well, I know that it's wrong for taxation without representation, but I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to lay down and take it. Why are you creating such a ruckus? Just lay down and take it. Just, you know, keep the peace. Keep the peace. Don't make the king mad. You know, we're going to have a war if you make the king mad. You know, and now maybe call the president, but don't piss off the president. Don't make the government mad. Don't make your local Congress people mad. Hello, they're supposed to be working for us, not the other way around. And people are afraid. Don't say nothing. Just take it. Just, you know, don't rock the boat. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. Heroes like you and Ed and several others, you know, that, you know, and Ronnie, who came on the other day, these people are heroes. All of you guys are, because you're standing up and saying, wrong answer. We're not going to take this. We're going to educate the public, and we're going to show people just what you are doing to us. And by doing that and exercising your right to your freedom of speech, people are being educated and learning. If we don't take our freedoms, if we don't use them and fight for them, we will lose them. We will lose them, and it'll be worse than the time when they fought England for our freedom. You know, and, you know, I understand that the whole history of the Revolutionary War is not as we learned it in school, but the reason I'm saying it like that is because a lot of people don't know that the history is not exactly as it was in our history books. So I'm speaking of it that way because of that, not because I don't know better, you know. But a lot of people don't understand that a lot of things were going on behind the scenes that we don't even understand, that, you know, have been used against us. Our own personal things have been used against us. And I know you're going to be coming up with a show on that, so I don't want to talk about that too much, because you've got a really good show coming up in the next couple weeks about some of the things that they have used to influence us and to basically to take away our rights by using things that are personal to us and to hurt us. You know, just like child protection, taking away our children. What better way can they possibly have to hurt people and make people back off? If you don't back off, if you don't shut your mouth, we are going to take away your children too. You know, if you say anything, you have to worry about you losing your children. If you speak against taxation, you can go to prison because the IRS will come after you. You know, if you speak about the right to bear arms, next thing you'll know, you'll have the what is it called? The DNRs? No, tobacco, firearms. What is it called? I can't remember. Another government agency that comes after you. You know, if you try to sell food without getting permission from the Food and Drug Administration, there you go again. Got to have a permit. You know, I put a sign in my window saying I was selling pop for 50 cents a can. And the caretaker came up and said, you have to take that sign down unless you go get permits to sell it. So why do I need permission to sell this? The last time I looked, I've got constitutional rights. Well, they don't care. You want to still live in this apartment? You're going to take the sign down. Okay, I'll take the sign down, you know, because I do like having a roof over my head. That's not going to keep my big mouth from flapping, but I'll take the sign down, you know. But, you know, it's these types of things that I think are freedom of speech. If I want to be able to do something, I should be able to do it. Oh, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. My friend sent me a message to tell me what it was. You know, anyways, you know, it's crazy, and you know, we shouldn't have to lay down and put up with it. We should be aware that these things can happen, that when you speak out, that different government agencies are not going to like it and they're going to come after you. When you stand up and say, you're not taking my land, this is my God-given right, I worked my butt off for it, yes, the BLM is going to come. And yes, people are going to get hurt and even killed. But then they become our heroes. Then we lift them up as an example of somebody who is a hero and strong and willing to stand up for his fellow man, like LaVoy. Okay? But, you know, the thing is, you gotta, if we don't stand up and be aware, yes, they're going to try to come after us, but if united we stand and we say we're not going to keep taking this crap, you guys are going to have to realize this, then and only then are we going to start getting back our freedoms. If nobody stands, they're going to keep walking all over us. They have no reason to stop. You know? If we stand up, yes, some people are going to get hurt and some people are going to get killed. And I'm not saying that it should be that way, but unfortunately, you know, that's the way it is. And unfortunately, it has to happen in order for us to get what we need. You know, so if you do take a stand, you need to be aware. Some people may not like what you've got to say. Some people may not agree with what you have to say. You know, are you willing to take that chance? Because once you step out there, then you got to back it up. You know, just like if I fight for freedom of speech, I better be willing to say Antoine LaVey's group has the right to say what they got to say too, whether I agree with them or not. Westboro Baptist Church has a right to say what they say, whether I agree with them or not. You know, the KKK has a right to say what they want, whether I agree with them or not. The ACLU, whether I agree with them or not, they have a right to say what they want to say. You know, and the government does not have the right to come in and take away our rights, and CEOs and corporations don't have the right to take away that right from us either. But unless we keep standing up and keep saying, no, I'm not going to shut up because you want me to. I'm not going to stop because it makes you uncomfortable. It should make you uncomfortable if you're trying to take away my rights. I want you to be uncomfortable if you want to take away my rights. You know, I'm going to stand up. You're not going to take my land. You're not going to take my freedom. You're not going to take my money. You're not going to take my labor. Slavery was outlawed. You cannot have it. And you sure can't have my soul because that's already been given to God. So if you want that, you got to take that up with Jesus. You know, but you can't have my body, you can't have my labor, and you sure can't have my devotion and love. That's all earned, and you can't have that. but as long as we're willing to shut up and let somebody walk all over us like a carpet, then we lose that right. We lose the ability to do anything, you know.
All right.
And it's a really, really sad thing.
I've
Go
got
ahead.
an update. We're gonna actually have a show at 3 p.m. tomorrow Eastern. Everybody's gonna want to be there for that one. I hope they don't cancel out on us again, but if they do, I will post an update again. Go ahead. You've got the floor again. We've got the interview. We've got the interview.
Yes, which means 2 o'clock Central Time
Yes.
tomorrow afternoon. Cool. That is cool. And everybody, you know, I'm going to encourage everybody to listen because it's going to be, that's going to be a really interesting, show. It's going to be very interesting, and I know anybody that's a patriot will want to listen. Anybody that cares about their country and their freedoms will want to listen, you know. So I want to encourage everybody that I know to listen to that show. Because, yes, I do know who you're going to have on, and I think it's really awesome.
Oh, yes.
You know.
It will be on. I hope. I really hope good things will come of it.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to think of different forms of freedom of speech that are, you know, messed with every single day of our lives. You know, it ticks me off really bad that, you know, people want two things that I've seen happen. One is that people will lay down and just be a carpet. The other thing is they're okay with freedom of speech and they're okay with any of the freedoms as long as there's things that they want to hear. If they don't want to hear it, then no, you don't have the right to say it. You know, you can't have it both ways. Either people have a right to say it or they don't. You know.
I've got another article I'm going to send over to you real quick. And this is about freedom of speech being attacked on our U.S. campuses, such as colleges and schools and whatnot. Go ahead and give us some enlightenment on this one.
Okay. Free speech is under attack on the nation's campuses with too few willing to defend it. The following article by Alan C. Brownfeld is reprinted with permission. Free speech used to be highly valued, particularly on the nation's college and university campuses. Hold on one second.
And just this article was published November 30th, 2015. Not too long ago. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. Okay, November 30th, 2015. During the Vietnam War years, this writer taught at the University of Maryland. The campus was alive with debates about the war and a host of other subjects. There was no effort to silence diverse points of view. Earlier, as a student at the College of William and Mary and its law school, the notion that certain ideas could not be expressed because someone might be offended by hearing them was unknown. While our society has advanced in many ways since those years, with regard to free speech, it appears to be in retreat. Consider some recent events. In September, sophomore Brian Staskovich, forgive me if I mispronounced that, a 30-year-old Iraq veteran and self-described moderate conservative, wrote an opinion column for the Wesleyan Argus, the student newspaper. He was critical of the Black Lives Matter movement, particularly its anti-police rhetoric. The article contained neither name-calling nor racial stereotyping of any kind. Within 24 hours, students were stealing and destroying newspapers around campus. The author was called a racist, and the Argus's editors published an apology on the front page. They promised to make the paper a safe place for the student of color community. This wasn't enough. Students circulated a petition to defund the newspaper. Finally, the school's president spoke out and issued a statement titled, "Black Lives Matter and so does free speech." Despite this, the student government voted unanimously to have the funding for the newspaper, have as in HALVE, to cut in half the funding for the newspaper. Commenting on this case, Washington Post columnist Catherine Rampel, noted, as someone who once wrote inflammatory columns for school newspapers, I find this thinly veiled retribution deeply saddening. Crippling the delivery of unpopular views is a terrible lesson sent to impressionable minds and future leaders at Wesleyan and elsewhere. It teaches students that dissent will be punished, that rather than pipe up, they should nod along. It also teaches them they might be too fragile to tolerate words that make them uncomfortable rather than rebut. They should instead shut down, defund, shred, disinvite, but the solution to speech that offends should always be more speech, not less. At the University of Missouri in early November, the campus was convulsed by protests against alleged racism, leading to the resignation of two top university officials. While this was going on, a student journalist was prevented from photographing a temporary encampment by a group of students on the university quad. You do not respect our space, he was told, followed up by, you lost this one, bro. The photographer, Tim Ty, was not intimidated and stood his ground. Ma'am, the First Amendment protects your right to be here and mine, he said. 3 faculty members confronted Ty. One of them, Melissa Click, who teaches at the journalism school, is shown on a video calling out, hey, who wants to help me get this reporter out of here? I need some muscle over here. She and her colleagues seem to have forgotten that the quad of a public university is public space, and a journalist has the same free speech rights as do the protesters. Discussing events at the University of Missouri and elsewhere, New York Law School professor Nadine Strassen, former president of the American Civil Liberties Union, states that people wrongly believe they have the right not to be offended. This is not only faulty, but we as educators have a duty to be offensive in the sense of forcing people to rethink their fundamental assumptions. Diversity is cited as this mantra, yet we are killing ideological diversity, which is just as important. Samantha Harris, Director of Policy Research at the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, also known as FIRE, said censorship used to come primarily from the top down, but now is coming from students. Students increasingly seem to be arriving on campus believing that there is a generalized right not to be offended beyond the actual right to be free from harassment and threats. This amorphous right to emotional safety is a troubling trend, she said. At Amherst College in November, hundreds of students crammed into Robert Frost Library and demanded that students who had posted free speech and All Lives Matter posters go through extensive training for racial and cultural competency and possible discipline. They wanted the administration to apologize for our institutional agency of white supremacy, among many other forms of discrimination like heterosexism, cis-sexism, xenophobia, ableism, I'm going to have to look up some of these words, mental health stigma, and classism. On an alumni forum, Matthew Pawarski of the class of 2008 asked, why is Amherst an institution supportive of political freedoms, ultimately becoming a college full of restrictions? At Claremont McKenna College in California, protesters forced the resignation of the dean of students because she suggested that the school needed to do more for those who did not fit the CMC mold. At Yale, more than 800 students, faculty, alumni, and others signed a letter to the president criticizing student demands like firing a housemaster who questioned the policy of Halloween costumes and creating a censure process for hate speech. The letter said these would reinforce intellectual conformity. Something very strange is at work on university campuses. The University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee declared that the phrase politically correct is a microaggression. The master of Yale's Pearson College said that his title reminds students of slavery. A Washington State University professor said she would lower the grade of any student who used the term illegal immigrants when referring to immigrants who were in the country illegally. Whoa.
How about that?
Another Washington State professor, in her syllabus for women in popular culture, noted that students risk failure for the semester if they use derogatory, oppressive language such as referring to women, men as female or male. The University of California system stipulated that Hostile and derogatory thoughts include, I believe the most qualified person should get the job, and America is a land of opportunity. Can you believe that? That's considered derogatory.
Wow.
Things have been moving in this direction for some time. I know. And it goes on and on. You know, I'll put in the chat section the link to this for anybody that wants to check it out, because it goes on even further. But unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, I got another one for you too.
This can go on.
I've got this is
Okay.
this is from uscourts.gov about freedom of speech. Let me find that window. Gotta send this over to you. All right, yeah.
Okay.
But we'll be talking more about that here after this one right here. But this is uscourts.gov covering this one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What does free speech mean? Okay. Among other cherished values, the First Amendment protects freedom of speech. The U.S. Supreme Court often has struggled to determine what exactly constitutes protected speech. The following are examples of speech, both direct words and symbolic action, that the court has decided are either entitled to First Amendment protection or not. First Amendment states in relevant part that Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech.
I
Freedom
can
of
cover.
speech includes the right.
I can cover this one. Freedom of speech includes the right not to speak, of students to wear black armbands to school to protest a war, to use certain offensive words and phrases to convey political messages, to contribute money under certain circumstances to political campaigns. I think that's called a super PAC, but moving on. To advertise commercial products and professional services with some restrictions, to engage in symbolic speech such as burning the flag. How can that be? How can that be free speech? Burning our flag. People have died for that. All right, go ahead and cover the next section.
Okay, let's see. Where did you leave off here?
Freedom of speech does not include the right, and start from there.
Okay. To incite actions that would harm others, such as shouting fire in a crowded theater, to make or distribute obscene materials, does not include the right to make or distribute obscene materials, to burn draft cards as an anti-war protest, to permit students to print articles in a school newspaper over the objections of the school administration. Wow, they get to decide our rights. Okay, of students to make an obscene speech at a school-sponsored event. Well, we have to say how old are these students. Of students to advocate illegal drug use at a school-sponsored event.
All right, let's elaborate on some of the things that we've covered.
Our schools and our government get to decide what we can and cannot say, but at the same time, people can burn the flag that people have died for, that my dad spent 20-plus years in the Army for. That's okay. That my friend's grandfather died for. Okay?
It should
died
be
in Japan in World War II over that.
It should be we the people deciding.
We can burn that flag. Huh?
I said it should be we the people deciding, not the government.
Mm-hmm. Look, if I'm the one running a newspaper, I decide what goes in my newspaper. But if it's a college newspaper, if they're a college student, they should be allowed to print what they want and not have to worry about retaliation, such as being penalized or whatever. Okay? As long as they follow the rules of the paper, they should be able to print, something in the paper. And there should be no rules saying you can't say something. I mean, like that one I just read saying that that America is a land of opportunity. If somebody wants to say that, who are they to say you can't say that? That would be considered derogatory? What's derogatory is that teacher that says if you say that, you're going to lose a grade. You know? And that's the other thing. They threaten us with things that mean something to us, like I said before. Students losing grades, so that makes it harder for them to get a job when they get out of school. Or putting something in your school papers that's going to be a permanent mark on you when employers go to look at hiring you. You know? Either you're going to conform to the way we want you to be, or we're going to make sure that you don't get a good paying job when you leave this school after paying us tons of tuition. You know, because we say all lives matter instead of just Black Lives Matter, there's a problem with it. You know, one time when my kids were younger, my son accidentally took my Bible to school, because I had my Bible on my kitchen table. And he came in and he set his books down that he was taking to school with him. And then, you know, he grabbed his book bag and he was putting his books in because he was one of those last-minute people doing the last bit of his homework before he went to school. And I wasn't paying attention until after he had left. I noticed that my Bible was no longer on the table and said, "What happened?" Next thing I know, a couple hours later, the school calls me. And they told me that I needed to come and get my son from school. And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, he's been he's being released for the rest of the day." And I said, "Well, what happened?" You know, because I thought maybe he got in a fight or something like that, like boys do. He brought a Bible to school. I said, "He brought a Bible to school and there's a problem with that?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Well, what was he doing with the Bible? Was he hitting somebody with it?" They said, "No." I said, "Was he reading it and disrupting class?" They said, "No." I said, "Well, what was he doing with it?" They said, "Nothing." I said, he wasn't doing anything. He just brought it to school. And now I've got to come pick him up from the office. And they were like, "Yes, because you're not allowed to bring religious things to school." I said, "Really? Can I go check all the other students in the school and make sure that there's no Torahs, that there's no Korans, that there's no other religious things in any kid's possession? And by the way, that means they better not have a cross on their neck or the Star of David or anything else on the, they better not be carrying that stuff either." For you to tell me that him simply having a Bible in his backpack, and I know my son is not one of those that's, if it was my daughter, I'd believe that she was out there preaching or something, but my son was very quiet and, didn't call attention to himself. So I knew that, he hadn't done it, wasn't out there doing some big preaching thing. All he did was accidentally take my Bible to school. I said, "I'll come pick up my son, but you guys are going to deal with this." And by the time I got there, the principal had changed his mind and allowed my son back into school. And I was like, "Okay, fine." And because I didn't shut up. I let them know when I got there they were going to hear more from me. Because my son didn't do anything. And I wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong with him reading that Bible either, as long as he wasn't disrupting class. Because, the rule is don't disrupt class, no matter what you're talking about, okay? I would have had a problem with him disrupting class. But he wasn't disrupting class. He pulled his books out, and the Bible came out with his other books, and he was like, "Oh, uh-oh, I brought Mom's Bible to class, to school," And, he said his first concern was, "Oh, Mom's not going to be happy," And, then all of a sudden the teacher saw it and started raising all kinds of cane about it, My daughter in high school, she had a teacher. Well, at first he wasn't her teacher. He was just somebody that she thought was cool. And she went in to talk to him about something that she was doing, some after-school activity that he was part of the, he was one of the teachers that was overseeing it. And she had went in to talk to him about it, and somehow the subject came up that he was homosexual. And my daughter said, "Oh." And she said, "Well, I thought you were a Christian." And he said, "Well, I am." And she said, Well, how can you be both? She was just asking a question. How can it be both? So they got into a discussion, and he kept inviting her back. They kept having this conversation. As long as they were both having a, conversation, I didn't have a problem with it. But one day my daughter came in school late, and so she had to sign in, and she brought a note from me. And, she said, this lady said, I need to talk to you from the office, right? And she said, okay. And she said, Mr. So-and-so, he's having a lot of problems with some of the things you're talking to him about, and you need to quit talking to him about religious things. And she was like, he's the one that brought it up to me first, And she said, well, I highly doubt that. I've already spoken to the teacher. And she's like, if he didn't want to, he could have been man enough to tell me himself instead of sending somebody to talk to me about it. She said, whatever. Well, then, like a week later, he calls me and says, I showed an article to your daughter about, now mind you, he didn't ask me before he showed my daughter, but he showed my daughter an article that was written by a gay magazine where they had basically twisted the word of God, and he said he was showing her how to write a protest letter to the magazine, and did I have a problem with that? I said, no, I do not have a problem with that. I think that's cool that you're teaching her how to protest in a, in a way that doesn't hurt people. And I said, but I do have a problem, I do have a problem with that you're, you send somebody to tell my daughter not to be discussing religious views when now you're telling me you're talking to her about homosexual views again, which is going to bring up the religious views. She's not going to keep her mouth shut just because you want her to,
Yeah, and what gets me,
um,
actually, is there's no real clear definition of derogatory. There isn't.
Right. Well, one person considers derogatory, another person may consider just fine. And the thing is, I'm not even sure what could we consider derogatory and what not to consider derogatory. And one person's freedom of speech should not impede somebody else's freedom of speech. If you have the freedom to say what you want, I should have the freedom to say what I want. And, if somebody has the freedom to wear religious things, everyone should have that freedom. If someone has the freedom to, they allow Muslims to have their time to be excused from class to have prayer time, but Christians can't bring a Bible to school.
And yet they can sit there. They can sit there and teach
what's okay and what's not.
They can sit there and teach the pillars of Islam, but you can't bring a Bible to school. There's something wrong in this country.
Exactly. You can teach my child about Zeus and Athena and all these other false gods, and I'm supposed to put up with that. But when it comes to saying something about Jesus, there's a problem. That's like in Wisconsin. This was a few years back. They had a case where a kid, junior high kid, they did a thing where they said to draw a picture of your hero, who you look up to, for guidance or whatever. They could be living or dead. Well, this one kid drew a picture of Jesus. And they had put all the other kids' pictures up on the wall except for his, and he did not even get a grade for doing it. Well, they did take it to court, and I believe they did end up winning that one. But the point is, they put up the picture that the kid drew of Muhammad, but they refused to put up a picture that this child drew of Jesus. They didn't put any limitations. They said, draw who do you admire. Then when this kid puts up a thing saying he admires Jesus, now we have a problem. And the other thing is, how do you get offended by love? Because that's what Jesus is all about, love. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. How do you get offended by love? People in this world need more love. How do you get offended by that? You don't have to believe in Jesus, but to be offended that he teaches us to love one another, how do you get offended by that? How can that be considered derogatory that we are taught to love one another? You know? I mean, yes, we say things that people don't like. I guarantee it. But, you know, why can you not look at it and just say that's their opinion and that's their right? You know? People can talk to me about Islam. I'll listen to what they've got to say. I'm not going to agree with them, but I'll listen. And I will give them the respect of being another human being on the planet that deserves just as much respect as I do. That's what it's all about, is, you know, respecting each other and understanding that whether I agree with you or not, we all have the right to do this, you know. And so I don't understand that. And then my son takes a Bible school, and you'd have thought World War III broke out in the school the way they were acting, except I brought World War III right back to their doorstep and said, wait till I get to that office. You're really going to hear me. You know, and my daughter, I let that teacher know. I don't have a problem with you revealing that you're gay. I'm not going to sit here and protest that. But what I do have a problem with is the second my daughter says something to you that makes you uncomfortable, oh, I'm going to hurt my friend.
Let's not get hurt by freedom of speech, people.
You go to somebody in the office, huh?
I said, let's not be offended by freedom of speech, people. That's not what it's about.
Right, right. Well, my friend just sent a joke to me. She said, are you putting down holy Islam jihad? Or are you putting down holy Islam? And then she said, jihad on you. She's messing with me. Right in the middle of me talking just to watch me mess up. But, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous to me. You know, Jews don't believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. That's their right. Okay? Atheists don't believe there's a God. There's skeptics out there. You have your rights. Believe what you want. Or don't believe anything. I really don't care. But don't infringe on my right to believe what I want to believe either. And there's a difference. I don't have the right to force Christianity on somebody, but I'm going to share Christianity because I think it's a good thing to share. Okay? But if you tell me I don't want to hear it, I'm going to respect that and I'm going to shut up. You know? So, you know, there's got to be a give and take there too. If somebody doesn't want to hear what you got to share, then just why cast your pearls before swine? If they don't want to hear it, if they're closing off to it, then why waste your time and effort and energy and your good sense with somebody who don't want to hear what you got to say? You know? There is a difference, you know? And, you know, people think, well, you're forcing Christianity if you share it. Okay, then if I share a cookie, I must be forcing that too. You know? Maybe somebody don't like sugar, and I just forced the cookie on them because I offered it to them. Just because somebody offers something to you doesn't mean they're forcing it on you. Okay? I think when you exchange ideas and thoughts and beliefs, that makes you a better person because you learn something. I've had Wiccan people who have come into my home and shared what they believe, and it helped me to understand them better. Do I agree with them? No. Will I ever convert to what they believe? No. Okay? But I now understand a little bit better. And so when I talk to them, I know how to talk to them in a way, you know, that I can still get my message across and, you know, they're going to receive it a lot better. And they get their message across because they understand where I'm coming from. And they give me respect. I give them respect. You know? And that's all it's all about. Oh, thank you, Becky.
Shout out to you, Becky.
And ask me some questions or something. I just lost my train of thought. I started blushing. Becky gave me a compliment.
Do you think the government should have control over freedom of speech like they want to?
Heck no. Heck no. I mean, that's part of what we're all fighting about. Not fighting as in a physical fight, by the way, in case somebody's listening and wants to make a big deal out of something that I'm talking about. Our fighting and speaking up and saying this was not okay and things like that. They don't have the right to infringe on our speech. It's crazy. Look at mainstream media. The government, the pharmaceutical companies, and all these other things are out there infringing upon our rights. You can't talk about herbal medicines or herbal foods and stuff without the pharmaceutical companies.
Don't you know they want to have a patent? They actually want to have a patent on everything. Anything that's good for you, they want to patent or synthesize. Right.
Well, they want to synthesize it because it's already been ruled that they can't patent natural things because, that's something that everybody can use. Just like you can't trademark or copyright verses from the Bible.
That is because it's natural law.
Right. And so they can't patent it. So anybody's allowed to use it, and, that's the problem. And that's why pharmaceutical companies don't want it. They can't put a patent on it. They can't make as much money off of it because you could go out in the woods and pick out some good herbs and make your own stuff. So they don't want that. They want their stuff out there. They want to say that marijuana is this evil reefer drug that's going to hurt everybody. And I am not one that smokes a lot of pot or anything. I have used it for migraine headaches in the past, okay? But for the most part, I don't do it. I don't allow it in my house, But I've also used ibuprofen, and I've ended up with blood in my stools. I've never ended up with blood in my stools when I've taken one or two hits to get rid of a horrible migraine. And I think anybody in the government who decides what we can and cannot do or what we can and cannot talk about, they ought to have to go through the same kind of pain and the same kind of sicknesses we do without using the same things they're forbidding us to use, by the way.
In my opinion.
Marijuana is illegal. Don't you dare touch it or you go to jail. And then we find out like half the politicians up there are stoned while they're making decisions about our laws.
In my opinion. In my opinion, 1 out of every 5 people use it for different conditions.
Right.
Some use it for recreational. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with that. It actually, if it's going to calm somebody down, people who use it, you don't hear of them beating up their wives over or beating up their husbands, and turn around, you give them some beer or some hard liquor. Next thing you know, you hear about beating this and beating that and domestic violence this and domestic violence that. It's just Go ahead and take the floor. I got a call I got to take.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree with you, obviously, but freedom of speech, when people limit it, it limits our education. It limits us being educated. It limits our understanding when we limit freedom of speech. If somebody says something you don't like, listen anyway, because you might learn something from it. Even if it's just one little grain in there that you might learn from listening to somebody. Just because you don't agree with somebody doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to what they got to say. Because if, when I say something, I hope that people consider that it's important.
I just got word that Ed Johnston will be joining us soon. Give me a second. I'll get him on the line. Continue with what you were saying.
I love Ed. But, when they limit our freedom of speech, they limit our ability to learn. And that's what they want to do. They want to limit our ability to learn. If they limit our freedom, if freedom of speech, was limited the way they want to limit it, I would have never met Ed. I would have never learned about the straw man. I never would have learned about common law. I never would have learned that there is a way for me to fight for my grandchildren. I never would have learned a lot of things if they had been able to get Ed to not have his freedom of speech. To me, that's a good example of freedom of speech. If that had been hindered, if he had done like many people do and laid down and become a carpet, then
Losing your train of thought again?
yes. But then, I would never have learned this stuff, and I would have been in a worse state than what I am. Right now, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning how to take the law and, use it for the good, okay? If there was no freedom of speech, I would never have known that, okay? Freedom of speech helps me to learn about other people's religious viewpoints, helps me to learn about other people's world viewpoints. Even if I don't agree, I can at least empathize or understand where they're coming from. But if somebody tries to limit it, then it limits our education. And that's when the government can really take control over us. If we give up our right to be able to talk to each other and be able to converse and share with each other and even disagree with each other, if we lose that, we lose our ability to learn and grow, and then we may as well just let the government control us, because that's exactly what's going to happen. If we only learn what the public school wants us to learn, we are in big trouble, because they're a bunch of liars. Okay? So,
I'm still here.
yes, it does, Becky. Oh, Becky just wrote in here, for a mom to lose her teenage child for mentioning chemtrails at her school says a million words. Exactly. Why should a mom lose her child for that? That's ridiculous. And that's one of the things I brought up earlier, probably before you were on listening, Becky, was that they threaten us with things like taking away our children, taking away our jobs, taking away I forgot what other examples I was using, but they take away things for us to be able to provide for our families. They take away our families. They take away the things that are important to us, our support structure, because if somebody supports you in your fight, we'll go take away their children. If somebody supports you in their fight, we'll make sure they lose their job, And so and if people let that intimidate them to the point where they shut up, then they're going to keep doing it to people. Eventually, they're going to run out of workers if we're all standing up and saying, you know what, corporation, you know what, government, fire me and hire somebody else. And as soon as they learn, they're going to figure out that you guys are a bunch of baloney, and they're going to lose their job. And eventually, you're going to run out of people to hire. The more people that stand up, the less chance they have for doing this. If people started standing up when child protection goes to take somebody's child, and they are met with 200-300 people standing in front of that door saying, you're not taking this child, then it's going to stop. That's when it's going to stop. When people stand up and say, no more, we're done with this crap. No more. Our freedom of speech says we're going to educate people about the cruel things you're doing, and we're not going to stop till people understand this can happen to anybody. Okay? They can say, oh, that person was using drugs. Oh, that person was drunk. That's not an excuse to take away their rights. That's not an excuse to tear up their lives and their heart and their families. If they didn't hurt anybody, keep your damn nose out of it. Oh, excuse my language. Keep your dang nose out of it. They ain't got no business in it. They ain't hurting nobody, if the word, now they say, well, it's emotional abuse if a kid has to see their mom stumbling around drunk. I remember when my parents used to go out and party every once in a while and they'd come home drunk. I thought it was pretty funny. I wasn't emotionally scarred, Matter of fact, that was when I could get the most money out of my parents. Unfortunately, my mom is not alive to come slap me for saying that, but they're not emotionally scarred the way people want it. Oh, well, we have to take them because they'll be emotionally scarred. They have done tests to prove that children who are put into the foster care system, they are more emotionally scarred, even if they're put into a good foster care system, into a good foster home and taken out of a bad home, than they would have been if they had just left those kids right where they were. Why? Because kids know where they belong. They belong with their bloodline. Okay? And kids overcome that. There are lots of successful people who grew up in so-called abusive homes that are doing just fine today. Okay? I mean, people say I grew up in an abusive home, and I probably did. But you know what? I'm a stronger person for it. Okay? I have no problem with saying I got a butt whooping. Right. You're exactly right, Becky. Excuses to break up families make you weaker. You know? They show up with police and guns and that. You know, hold up. It reminds me of the Gestapo. It reminds me of Hitler Germany. And people are like, well, this is just the way it's got to be because people are this way and that way. People are not living the way we think they should live. When in the hell did you become God is my question to those people. Who made you God? Because the last I knew, God is still alive. He's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. So nobody made you God. Who are you to decide whether or not that family's living right? Who are you to decide that, oh, stability means you got to live in the same house for their whole entire life? Who are you to decide that instead of taking ibuprofen, I prefer to take a little bit, smoke a little bit of weed because I don't want to bleed from my stomach? Who are you to decide how I should live? Who are you to decide who I should worship? You know, you don't have that right. And to threaten to break up families and to threaten to hurt people's livelihoods over it, that's a crock. And people, I know that it hurts. I know that the threat of losing your family or the threat of losing your livelihood is enough to scare the daylights out of you and make you want to back down. But if you don't stand up, you lose more. That's what people got to understand. Eventually you lose more. Then what rights are they going to take from us? Our freedom of religion? Okay, now we can't speak about God. Now they're going to take God from us. Well, they'll take God from my crying dead heart because I'm not letting go. And they'll take freedom of speech when I breathe my last breath because I'm not shutting up. You know? And I'm not going to stand by and let somebody shut somebody else up either, whether I agree with them or not. You know? But we got to start speaking out. And people got to start listening too. Somebody says, "Hey, they're threatening to take my kids because I believe this way, or because I'm doing this." We need to say whether we agree with what they're doing. If that child has not been hurt, we need to stand up and say, "Wrong. You don't get to do this." You know?
Yeah. Don't mind me. I'm in the background here setting.
Decide for me.
I'm setting up our show for 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Eastern, and everybody,
Yes.
You're going to want to tune in for that show. You're going to hear a familiar voice on there. And you're definitely going to want to share this show. I don't think they're going to cancel on me this time around. And we're actually working on getting another guest on. But back to freedom of speech, you have the floor.
Okay. You know, I mean, I have friends who support me in different ways for what I'm going through personally with my grandchildren, but they have to be careful too because they could lose their own kids if they're not careful. Why? Because our freedom of speech is hindered. We're not allowed to speak without fear of losing those that we love or losing our ability to support those that we love. You know? I mean, I personally think that becoming an entrepreneur, which Ed Johnson knows more about than I do too, you know, but becoming an entrepreneur is the best way to go instead of working for somebody else where the corporation gets to tell you what you can and cannot do and how you have to live your life and what you got to put up with, you know. And
I'm inviting Lynx and Tom to our chat here.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what I haven't covered, so I don't keep repeating myself.
Hey, Tom, go ahead and hit the refresh button for me, and I'll send you this link to join the hangout here. All right. Yeah, we're supposed to have Ed Johnston joining us anytime now. I sent him a phone invite on that one. I don't know quite where he's at right now.
Right.
But hopefully, Tom, let me know when you're refreshed, and we'll bring you in. Links, you're welcome too. I sent you a link in chat. Yeah, we've got to get more people on this topic because I want to hear from everybody. Because freedom of speech is so important.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what people have to say.
Man,
right.
Freedom of speech
if they go ahead,
is under attack. It really is.
Yes.
All right, Lynx is going to sit this one out. But
okay,
go ahead.
I agree with we were reading some things earlier where colleges that used to be open to debate and speech and rebuttals and stuff are now prohibiting people from speaking, freely and from putting things into newspapers and stuff, and saying different things like, even saying something like America is a land of opportunity can be considered derogatory, which is ridiculous to me. Freedom of speech is under attack continuously if you are not politically correct, as they call it. And, they keep changing the rules for being politically correct, too. But we're supposed to keep up with that. Not that I care, because I'm going to say what I want to say, whether it's, politically correct or not. Most of the things I think and feel are not politically correct. But the thing is that if we don't fight for our freedom of speech, we'll lose all of our other rights. Because the second we give up our right to talk and to say something's wrong or something's right, to stand up and say, no, this ain't going to happen, you're going to lose every other right that we have been afforded by our God, by God. Or, whoever you believe that higher power is, If we lose our freedom of speech, and we'll lose our freedom to carry and bear arms. And whether or not you want to carry or bear arms, that's your thing. But other people have the right to do it if they want to, And we'll lose our freedom of religion. And no matter which God you worship, you want the right to worship how you feel to worship. Freedom of speech is probably, in some ways, one of the most important rights we have. If we give that up, we're going to give up our freedoms, all of our freedoms. Because once we lay down and we don't speak up for ourselves anymore, we're also going to give up the right to have anything. But unless we stand united and say, you know what, you're not going to do this to us anymore. We're going to tell it like it is. We're going to keep spreading the word. We're going to keep educating people. Unless we do that and we do it together, it's going to keep happening.
Sorry about the dead silence, everyone. I've been typing in chat here.
Yeah, I was going to say,
3 Eastern. 3 Eastern. Be here at 3 Eastern tomorrow. Everyone, we've got a special guest on. It will be a familiar voice that we all have heard. And a very, very, very special guest tomorrow. I'm not going to even reveal who it is until later. But back to freedom of speech. We've got to find a solution to save it, not attack it.
Right. That's what I'm wondering. Okay, what is the solution to this?
What we can sit here and talk.
The solution I see is what we're doing right here. We're talking about it. We're sharing, and that And the other solution is keep on talking. Don't let somebody shut you up because they don't like what you got to say. And they're offended. Well, if you're offended, you better learn how to put on some big boy or big girl panties and learn. You know.
Who's not fair? What's not fair, Becky? It'll be a minute before she hears us. You know what? I think either one of the shows this week, either Tuesday or Thursday, we're going to do some reading of the Constitution. You down with that?
Ooh. Yeah.
And you might be the one reading it for
That
us.
sounds
How about
really
that?
good. Okay, I can handle that.
Hey, that sounds good. That sounds really good.
I could use rereading it. It's been a while.
Looks like we got a solution in chat
I also have one of
here.
those citizen handbooks around here somewhere. Huh?
Looks like we, not telling you the guest name. Well, if I told you, the hundreds would be flocking over here right now. Seriously.
Oh, yes, they would. Yes, they would. I only got to find out because I happened to be on the phone with him when it happened.
Yo.
But he swore me to secrecy.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, man.
Yes. You want to convince anybody you can to be over here at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central. Let's see, 1 o'clock Western or whatever it is in California.
Mountain, 1 o'clock Mountain, and 12 o'clock Oregon time and West Coast time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pacific time. Pacific time is what it is.
Okay, yeah, Pacific time, yeah. Yes. So where's that Ed? I think he deserted us again. Not again, but he deserted us.
He didn't desert us. I never
Turkey.
I never seen him pop up on Facebook.
I don't know. Let me check. I'm gonna look on my Facebook real quick. I don't see him on here.
But yes, Ed, we're going to be doing 2 shows tomorrow. We're going to be doing a double tap on here. We're going to be touching base on InfoWars no-no. They did a no-no. They did a very bad no-no. And then we're going to turn around and we're going to have Ed Johnston at 7 p.m. Central. This whole Eastern, Central, Western, Eastern, Central, Western, whatever.
What is he going to be talking about? Do you know?
Say what?
Do you know what Ed's going to be talking about?
He does a show on here called
Tomorrow
The
night?
Disclaimers with Dave and Ed.
Oh, okay.
Every
okay.
Monday
So
he's on
Dave's
here.
going to be on with him?
What?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can definitely be here too. I don't mind you calling in.
No, I said Dave's going to be there too?
Yeah, Dave's always there on Monday. Always.
Cool. I like him too. I just got to meet him, but he seems like a very nice guy.
Hey, Daniel, what's up? Shout out to you, Daniel. I'm welcoming call-ins. The call-in line is 712-775-7035. Access code is 228627. Call now to get on the show. Oh, by the way, when you call in, please type in *61. That way I know you really want to be on the show. It'll show up for me that you're in queue. Because we want to hear y'all.
People can share stories of where they feel their freedom of speech has been infringed.
I want them to call in and tell me that. I want to hear where they've been infringed. And that brings me to another hot topic. And I'm going to be the one to have the grapes to say this. Muslims only believe in freedom of speech when it's convenient for them.
Right.
Oh, I'm well, Daniel.
Right.
You want to elaborate on that for us?
Well, they want the right to be able to go and pray. They want the right to be able to speak out hatred against Jews and stuff like that. They want the right to be able to talk about Muhammad, but the second you talk about Jesus, the second you talk about love, if you say that the Jews were God's chosen people, anything like that, then you should be killed. You should be considered an infidel. You know, jihad should be called out on you. You should be cursed. You know, they want to have the right to be able to send out the, you know, Islam police or something, you know, because you dare to say something that they disagree with, you know.
Yeah, they'll actually sit there for.
We're the ones that are supposedly spewing hatred.
Yeah, they'll actually sit there
what?
for hours on end, giving you reasons why Mohammed is such a great guy.
Right.
Prophet. Right. I'm sorry, prophet.
Right. Yeah. And then you bring up something like he married a 9-year-old or something, then they're like, oh, how dare you? You know. Okay, somebody called Proud American says, my goodness, what I had to get here.
Oh, really? I'd like him to call in and tell us about his difficulties in getting here.
Yeah, Proud American, call in and tell us. We would love to hear. He says hello, everyone. Or he or
shout
she,
out
I don't
to
know
Proud American.
But Proud American.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We're starting to run out of things to say because now we're starting to repeat ourselves. But
yes,
know,
we are. But well, go ahead and advertise the show for tomorrow's thing.
Tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, we are having a special secret guest that everybody's going to want to hear from. And then tomorrow night at 7 p.m., Ed Johnston and Dave West. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Bess, or something like that. They will be on at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So we have 2 shows tomorrow. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern or 2 o'clock Central will be a show with a very, very wonderful guest that everybody will want to hear, but we are keeping it secret.
Oh, yeah.
And but you will be glad that you checked in tomorrow afternoon. And then tomorrow evening, Ed Johnston and Dave are going to be doing their show, and it will be really, really great. So both of those shows you want to check into tomorrow, you know. It will be worth your time. So I got a little bit of a preview, but it's okay if you're shy. Call anyways.
You have a
Proud
voice.
American says I'm shy.
You have a voice, and we want to hear it, and everybody else wants to hear it too. Doesn't matter what your voice sounds like. If you got one,
freedom of speech is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You can't be shy when we're discussing freedom of speech.
America.
Freedom of speech means you should be talking. Forget the shy. Pass that out to somebody else. I know a few liberals you could give that shy thing to.
We've got a Q&A. We've got a Q&A in here. I'm going to go and get them on the air. Hey, caller, you are on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to the person who's saying they're shy, you have a voice, you have a right to say something, and we all want to hear it.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have anything else to say or on our topic of freedom of speech?
Now, I believe everybody has the right to say what they feel and speak their mind. Whether I agree with them or not doesn't matter.
Well, thank you for that. Anything else you'd like to tell us, say, or any final comments before I put you back in the system here? That sounds so wrong.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Is there any time you could think of that you've been limited on your freedom of speech? And don't include times that I tell you to shut up.
Yes, I'm related to her. Through school, you couldn't talk about God. In court, numerous things.
Yeah, the courts. That's a fun.
I mean, to say, I made a comment that I had God on my side and in a court hearing, and literally I could have been, I might as well have been saying, I've got a knife here, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, they got very upset and told her they didn't want to hear that in the courtroom.
Well, too bad. That's all I got to say. Well, too bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
So. Okay, you can put her back in the thing now.
Hey, if you got anything else, star 61 anytime, and I'll get you on the air. Okay. All right then.
Yeah.
Back on mute. All right, there.
Now,
all right, she's back on
people
mute.
are trying to get Proud American to call in.
Yeah, I think you should call in. If you're in a different country, I will give you the country code that you are in chat. So that's not a problem. Just let us know.
Proud American says I've got my PJs on. Okay, pajama party, call in.
I'm wearing slacks and a t-shirt.
We are not discussing. That sounds pretty nasty. So what are you wearing? I don't think so.
Yes, I'm wearing a bunch of skin.
Talk about what happened about the bathrooms.
Ooh, that's a good topic.
Yeah, it is.
What's your take on?
But are you talking about something specific, or are you just talking?
I think he's talking on what.
About something specific?
I think he's talking on what Obama said about the bathroom laws situation. You know, the bathroom laws.
Oh, yeah, and saying that the schools won't get money.
That's a bunch of
lose
crock.
Funding if they don't allow boys. I was talking to my pastor about that. My pastor, who's a very godly man, and he said, when I was a teenager, I'd have loved for a law.
Q&A queue is cleared.
He said, before I found Jesus, I'd have been claiming to be transgender just so I could go in the girls' shower. And, I mean, okay, freedom of speech, people say it's hate speech to say, I don't want a man in the bathroom with me. I don't want a man in the bathroom with my granddaughters. Matter of fact, I'm going to use my right to bear arms if they come in the bathroom while my granddaughters are in there. Okay? And I really don't care. Okay? If you're going to come in there, as far as I'm concerned, you're putting my granddaughters in danger. You have no right to be in a bathroom that's not marked for your gender. And I don't care if you're a man stuck in a woman's body or a woman stuck in a man's body. Deal with the body you're stuck in.
Hey, I'm going to say this. If you have a rod, go to the rod's bathroom. If you have something else, go to something else's bathroom.
Right. I don't care if they want to do one of those unisex bathrooms, fine and dandy, great. Make it whatever, But don't tell me that my daughter or my granddaughter, that my children have to put up with boys coming in the shower with them, and stuff like that. Because even my own pastor said, when I was a teenager, I'd have loved that. I'd have been saying I was transgender, and so would 90% of the other boys in the school. Just so they could go into the girls' shower. And I guarantee they wouldn't be going in there because they felt like they were women trapped in a man's body. This opens up for so much more sexual abuse. I mean, we talk about women's rights and we talk about minorities' rights and all these other things. Well, they don't really care about our rights because if they did, they wouldn't be trying to pass a law that puts more women in danger, Probably puts some men in danger too, but most men really don't have a problem with women going into the men's room. But, we women don't want men in our area where we tend to unveil ourselves, We don't want to be vulnerable in front of men that we don't know, So, proud American said I ended up in the man's one time and it scared the bejeebies out of me. I did too. One time I got so drunk I didn't realize I'd accidentally walked into the men's room until I was coming out and saw some man standing at a urinal, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
That reminds
and
me.
he kind of looked at me and said, "What are you doing?"
That reminds me of one time that I was working somewhere, and on the other side of the buildings they had the bathrooms reversed. So, and then when I finally went on the other side of the building, I went into the bathroom which I thought was the guy's bathroom, and I went in there and took a giant shit, and it was the girl's bathroom. I was like, "Oh shit!" Yeah, I accidentally found myself in the girl's bathroom. Can you believe it? They shouldn't have it switched around like that.
Accident,
They shouldn't have it switched around like that,
Right.
I could have just told them I'm transgender, but then again, I didn't know.
God forbid that we actually look up and look at what bathroom we're going in.
Yeah.
They shouldn't do.
Especially if somebody's holding the door for you, go right in like American Pie. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen American Pie, right?
Oh my God.
I felt like it. I felt like American Pie, man. When oh man, yeah, I'm still embarrassed by that. I'm turning red right now.
I agree with you, Becky. That's what I said. They should have 3 bathrooms, but they don't want to do that, Because you're right. That would, because then we wouldn't have chaos and distraction. And that's the other thing. They want to distract us with these issues like the bathrooms and stuff so that we're not watching how they're stealing our money and they're destroying our lives because we're too busy watching whether or not they're going to make boys go into our girls' bathrooms. Yeah, I think one of the solutions is fine. Allow the boys in the girls' bathroom. My children will be homeschooled. So,
Man.
And, I mean, that's tough if people don't like that. My daughter wrote that on Facebook the other day, that the answer is homeschool your children, and then you don't have to worry about them being put in a position where they could be hurt. And they said, oh, you're a racist. Well, what does race, by the way, have to do with somebody being gender, whatever? Race has nothing to do with your gender, okay? They said, just like when black people wanted to fight for their rights and all those people took their kids out of school, that's not even the same thing, okay? And they could say I'm narrow-minded and everything else. You're not setting my children or grandchildren up to be sexually abused. I'm sorry, not okay with it. It ain't going to happen on my watch, And if what we got to do is homeschool our children to get the message across, fine, have your school, but we are going to take ours out and we're going to homeschool them or send them to private school. For those who can afford private school, I can't afford that, but and they'll get a better education than the public school system gives anyway for all the money they get for teaching our children. They can't pay to get decent teachers. Not that there ain't decent teachers. Don't get me wrong. There's some teachers I love to death. But, they're also being, hogtied. They can only teach what curriculum is allowed by the public school system, which means nothing. They may as well sit at home and twiddle their thumbs and they'd get a better education.
All right. I'm actually, I'm feeling something here. I feel like I want to sing at least something here. Just give me a second. Just give me a second on there. Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And the good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. All right.
Yes.
Oh, man. I had that. Oh, I had to. That song was stuck in my head.
Yes. Yes, Becky, I homeschooled one of my children, and my daughter was homeschooling my oldest granddaughter when they took my grandchildren away from her and one of the things they claimed was educational neglect, even though She tested 2 grades higher than her grade level. Oh, thinks you're leaving? Okay, bye.
Oh, man.
I'm out the...
I think he meant I'm out then. I guess nobody
Oh,
enjoyed my
okay.
singing. Oh, now I'm sad. Damn it!
No recording contract for you.
They're just now getting me singing.
Yeah, schools are dumbing down our children on purpose. No longer do they have to learn the Constitution. No longer do they do the Pledge of Allegiance. No longer do they know the Bill of Rights or the Declaration of Independence. No longer most of them can't name most, even past 2 or 3 of our founding fathers. Off key singing Link said.
Yes.
Proud America said it used to be the parents' fault for children's bad behavior, and now it's the teachers. Well, I still think it's the parents' fault to a certain degree. I mean, yeah, they get peer pressure and they got the teachers, but
Have you
if
seen?
parents are active and figuring out what...
I actually run a server on the internet. Yeah, legitimately. Have you seen some of our children, the way they're talking these days? They're talking like thugs. And it doesn't matter if they're white,
Right.
black, where they come from. They're still talking thug talk. Why?
Because now they've made it against the law or illegal, not unlawful, illegal to spank your child, to correct your child, to tell your child it's wrong. There goes freedom of speech again. You can't even have it in your own family. You can't tell your child, you're not going to say that because it's wrong. Because if you say that, then they can go to school and say, I'm being verbally abused. And then the child protection system comes in, Okay, Lynx, call in and play your harmonica. Becky wants to hear it. So, now they even want to inhibit or infringe upon our freedom of speech when it comes to our own children. We can't say, don't do that. Have respect for people, love your brother as your own, love your enemies like yourself. We're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to, supposedly, I should say, because I'll say whatever the heck I want to my family. Okay? God didn't give my family to them, and they ain't having them, and I will teach my children and grandchildren what I want. But the point is, they're trying to infringe on that and say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't spank your child for doing something wrong. Because you know what? Spankings did more for me than my mom talking to me ever did, and more than standing in the corner ever did. If I knew I was going to get a whooping for it, I thought a lot more about it before I wanted to do it. I remember as a kid thinking that my mom was around the corner no matter where I was, just waiting for me to do something. And that kept me on the straight and narrow. I didn't want to do something wrong because I was afraid Mom might be right there to catch me. Because in my home, my mom was the one that did the spankings. She didn't wait for Dad to get home. Forget that nonsense. My dad was in the Army. Sometimes he was gone for weeks and months at a time. And she said, wait for your dad to get home. I'd have never got punished. So my mom had to be the disciplinarian in our home. And my mom took that role on very seriously. And she said her children were not going to grow up to be, misfits or mystery. What's that word? Anyways, to be out there, committing crimes, breaking the law, and doing all this. She wasn't going to have that from her children. And these days, if you do that, then they want to take away your children, then they want to arrest you, then they want to, defame your character.
Yeah,
wants to know what brought up all the bathroom issues.
Personally, I had my ass beat. If I got a red mark on the paper in school, I was in special ed, and I got my ass beat with a belt. Seriously.
Right.
3 times. Got my
mom
ass
took
handed to
herself
me.
beat. Right.
I got an
Well, I
F
knew
in
if I acted
school.
up in school and my mom found out.
If I got an F in school, I'd get my ass beat. You have the floor.
Right. Yeah, now you got kids that are beating up teachers. You know? And I mean, I used to tell my kids, if a teacher says or does something you don't like, you come home and tell me and I'll deal with them. But you do not disrespect your elders, you know? If I get a call that you disrespected your elders, when we get home, you're dealing with me, whether you were right or wrong, because I've taught you. You come home, I deal with them. And if a teacher was inappropriate towards my child, I did go to that school and let them know, you're not going to talk to my child that way. You will not mistreat my child. You know, but my kids were not going to mistreat or disrespect their elders either. You know?
Oh, man. you know, it's
Proud
just...
American is stuck on the fact that we were talking about bathrooms.
Oh, yeah,
It
bathroom.
was Becky's idea. She brought up the bathrooms.
Hey, well, we mentioned it. It's part of freedom of speech. Anybody out there butthurt
Right.
over freedom of speech? Now, let's talk about Islam. No, let's not.
Yes. Talk about anything you want. You know, there's such a religion of hate. And then mainstream media wants us to believe that there's something about this, well, that's only radical Islam. That's not true, because there's a lot of things in the Quran that teach them that it's okay if a person is an infidel, then it's okay with Allah that we lie to them, we cheat them, we steal from them, we abuse them, we kill them. That's okay if you're doing it to an infidel or an unbeliever, or, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous. And this is the religion that everybody's supposed to respect, but a religion that says love one another, treat people with respect, treat people the way you want to be treated, that religion cannot be tolerated. That religion has to shut up. How ridiculous is that?
What was that one puppet's name? I forget his name. It was Mohammed something, but he every line or so you would hear, I kill you, I kill you, I kill you.
Oh, from Jeff Dunham.
Yes.
Yeah. What was his name?
I kill you. I forget.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Shut up! I kill you. What is it? What is it, CJ? Oh, Ahmed, the dead terrorist. Yes. He's funny. But, and I'm not saying that everybody that believes in the Islam faith is that way, but a very big majority, I believe, are that way. You know, you do have some that probably are not that bad, but, you know, Link's just said Ahmed.
I kill you.
You know, I kill you. Yeah. Now we're going to have to watch Jeff Dunham tonight. Everybody watch Jeff Dunham tonight. Oh, goodness gracious. I love Jeff. But my favorite is Walter.
Proud American brings up a good point. Which bathroom does Michelle use? There's been some speculation about that. I'm going to do my Bill voice. Yeah, there's been some speculation about that. Don't know what bathroom she uses, but she uses a bathroom nonetheless.
Well, she is the first lady, so she probably uses whatever bathroom she dang well wants.
How many bathrooms are in the White House? What, 12? 20? 21?
Hold on, I'm going to Google that.
Okay, yeah.
Hold on, I'm Googling it.
Give us a second. We're in the process of Google searching the interwebs for information about how many bathrooms.
Yes, we have to find out very important information. There are 35 bathrooms.
What? How many?
35.
They have 35 bathrooms in the White House.
Important information.
What? Why? But why?
Because they're all full of you know what.
Yeah, they got a bunch of they got a shitty situation going on in
And
there, I
that's not even
guess.
counting their private residence, you know. That's not counting their private residence. They're- That's 35 bathrooms and I think it's at 132 rooms. I don't know what the hell they need all them rooms for, but
Yeah, actually Google how many rooms that
but
they
they need
got.
to have many
I'm
bathrooms
curious.
because think of how many politicians are up there that are full of crap. Uh, That's why they need all them bathrooms. They might have to put a few more in.
Don't worry, that they've got enough money for golden toilet paper or golden toilet paper holders, or hell, maybe the throne itself is golden. I heard Elvis
It might
died on the
be.
throne.
It might be. What?
I said I heard Elvis died on the throne.
I heard that too. I don't think his was golden though. He could have probably afforded it, but it wasn't.
I mean, they're printing money every day, right? So do they print money rolls? You know, toilet paper rolls that actually have legitimate value? I don't know. I haven't seen anybody
Probably
use.
about as much value as the dollar bill does.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody use a $100 bill to wipe their ass yet. You know.
Proud American wonders if Michelle has a problem with what to wear. It might be about the... Melissa says, seriously? She probably has about the same problem with what to wear as which bathroom to use. Cute.
They've got.
Uh-oh,
They
Daniel says they got cops on them because the girl's parents work. What?
Wait, what?
We're missing some good stuff here.
Oh.
She got the cops on us all because the girl's parents work at our jail. Daniel, what are you talking about? Call in.
Yeah, Daniel, it's time for you to call in, man. 712-775-7035. Access code is 228627. We really want to hear from you now, man. You got something to say, man. Let's hear it. It's going to be a minute before they hear this, but hey, it's time. It's time, Daniel.
That
I want to
sounded
hear
really
you.
serious to me. Wow.
I hate this delay that we got. There's like a 30-second delay or something. 45 seconds.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we like to have fun, but we want to know the serious issues, and this sounds really serious.
Yeah.
You know?
And Daniel, if you live in
I'm really hoping you call in, Daniel.
if you live in a different country, please tell me your country, and I'll send you the call-in number for that. They've got one for each individual companies. We've actually went international on here. We've had Australia calling in.
Right.
Like, you can't get any further away than that. Wait, can you go further than Australia? I know Antarctica don't have internet. Yeah, Daniel.
Oh, that's been at like 15 something.
Oh, yeah.
CPS is out of control. Oh, I agree. That's what I was talking about earlier, Becky.
Oh, yeah.
CPS is bull crap. They go under the delusion of being child protection when all they are is child...
Traffickers.
Child prevention, child
Traffickers.
prostitution. Yeah. Pat Armstrong, good show tonight. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Pat.
Shout out Pat, man. Pat Armstrong up in our chat. Pat, would you like to join us in here? Nah, I'm just going to throw him a wrench right here. Yeah, there he is. He's got a wrench, man.
Thank you, Becky.
Oh, you're in Colorado? Well, we want to hear from you.
Yeah,
I'm going to put it in chat.
Silence is gold, but not on air.
No.
Yeah, Melissa. Melissa's a friend of mine, so
That's good.
you're
That's
right,
good.
child abduction.
As soon as you
She's
get,
been messing with me throughout the whole show, I got to tell you.
as soon
She's
as
the one
you
that
get
keeps
on.
knocking me off my train of thought because she sends me these messages.
Oh yeah, chat can actually do that.
Yeah, she sent me private messages through the whole thing, making me laugh and lose my train of thought when I'm talking. So whenever you heard me suddenly stop mid-sentence, it's because she sent me a message. So
Yep.
that's her fault, the one that's talking in here now.
And when you call in to get on the air and to recognize that you need to get on air, just hit *61.
Yeah. I hope Daniel's calling in.
I hope so too. I think he is because I don't see him in chat.
I don't either.
If any of you have anything that you'd like to expose or get on air, except your private parts, don't do that.
Yeah, this may be about freedom of speech, but we are not saying freedom of expression. Keep those certain expressions to yourself.
And bodily fluids. Keep. What was it? What was it?
Still missing.
What was it? Keep all hands and objects to yourself. Was that was what was going around back in the day?
In the car. Keep all hands and arms in the car when in motion or something like that. But we prefer you just keep it all where it belongs, in the clothes.
Yeah, if a bee
Daniel
hit
is a mother, a very good one.
if a bee hits you, then
Well,
it'll
it's probably
suck.
Danielle, and I keep saying Daniel. I'm sorry. Is Danielle calling in? I hope so.
I hope so too.
Sounds like she must be dealing with child protection or something.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
From the way Becky's talking, and I'd love
Ronnie
to hear
put-
from her.
Ronnie put something on his Facebook. Gonna read. If it's set for public, I'm gonna read it. If it's not, I'm going to not read it because if it's not set for hang on a second.
Oh, Ronnie's page is probably set for public because he's not afraid of nothing.
Some things are set for public and some things aren't.
Okay.
Oh, I see. He shared the. Oh wow. He shared the smacking
What?
the hornet's nest video. It's got 37 shares. Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. See, people, if you really like our message on a certain show, I'm not talking about every show. You know, shows are going to have their variety. Some of them are going to be good. Some of them are going to be bad. Then I'm ecstatic that 37 people have shared this show. Well, not this show, but the show we did on Thursday, Disturbing the Hornet's Nest. And if y'all haven't heard that show, it is a kick-ass show. It needs to be heard by everyone. I also did a little...
Yeah, Danielle, if you're dealing with child protection, that's a good show to listen to.
Yes.
Danielle, I hope you heard me. That's a good show, and I just posted a phone number for you to call if you're having trouble with child protection. And the guy's name is Ronnie Davis, otherwise known as Little Bear.
He shared it twice.
But I'd still like to hear your story.
He shared it twice.
Huh?
Oh my God. I'm looking at his Facebook. There's a child that looks like it's got bruises and it looks like it's been beat on. Oh no. Oh man. That's hard to see. That's hard to look at. I'll
Whose
be.
Facebook are you looking at?
I'm looking at Ronnie's. People are posting to his Facebook.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Becky and Danielle, my name on Facebook is the same as it is here, Corrine Walker. Please friend me. I'd like to hear more about this. You know, if you don't want to call here, I'd still like to hear more about this. But Ronnie Davis, he's helping my daughter to fight for her kids, and I would get a hold of him if I were you. Okay?
Yeah, it's set for friend, but I'm gonna go ahead and share it. But if you need to speak with Ronnie, caller, I'll take your call in a second. Go ahead and press *61. That way I can confirm that you really want to be on the show. *61. I'm gonna go ahead and read this off Ronnie's post here. If you need to speak with Ronnie, please call and set up an appointment Monday after 9 Eastern. He can no longer respond to questions via Messenger. There are way too many to answer. And with that, I'm going to bring on our caller. Caller, you are on the air.
Hey, Toast, this is Danielle.
Hi.
Yay. Toast. Hey.
I
was just going to tell you guys what was happening.
Go ahead. You've got something to get off of your chest.
And,
it's time to get it off. Go ahead.
Here, my at school. Dad and I have been at the school, I don't know how many times, on girl, hitting my daughter, kicking my daughter, cussing him for everything else. Finally, when we blew our tops at the school, told the school that it wasn't our first bullying situation at a school with our daughter being bullied, that if it don't stop, I was getting the news involved, I was getting the bullying people involved with my daughter, everything else. All turned back around, Dad, been under investigation right now about us. All because the little girl's mom and dad both work at our county jail.
Right, so they're a part of the system, so they're going to turn everything around.
Right.
Of course, they're going to, child protection, they don't care about protecting children. They only care about hurting people and shutting people up. They're one of the biggest against our freedom of speech that out of any of the government agencies, because, if you dare speak out against them, then they threaten you with your children, So did they take your children?
No,
Okay.
not yet, but there's still an open investigation on me and Dad and our 3 children.
Okay, I posted the number. I don't know if you saw it, so hold on a second and I'll give you his number again. I would call him before it gets to that point, because then he'll tell you what to do when it does get to that point. This guy is awesome, and he does it for free, okay? And his name's Ronnie Davis. They call him Little Bear. And you can even tell him Corrine told you to call. It's 8. Okay, and he is helping a lot of people to get their children back that have already gotten them taken. He's also helping other people to understand their rights and not letting, you don't have to let child protection in your door. And you can teach your children that they don't talk to anybody without your...
We told that twice.
Your phone is breaking up.
Joe, they told us that we had to let them in the door.
No, you don't have to let them in the door. You don't have to let them in the door. You don't have to answer questions.
Take our kids right at that minute.
No, they can't do that. And if you get Ronnie Davis on your case and you let them know that you have retained Ronnie Davis as legal counsel, and he'll tell you, call him up if they try it, put him on speakerphone, and he'll let them know that if they even try that kind of crap, that they're going to be in big trouble, because he has no problem with filing commercial liens on people, on judges and officers of the court's bonds. They can't do that.
So see,
They
because
cannot do it.
I even told them this last time that they come out. Due to my constitution, I don't have to let you in my door.
Right.
That's right.
And they said, well, if you don't, we'll take your kids. You and Ron will go to jail right now.
Yeah, see, that's what they do. They threaten you and they intimidate you. And that's why I'm telling you, get a hold of Ronnie and talk to him, because he will help you. I guarantee it. He's a great guy.
Now, do you
He's
know
a
if they have a
wonderful
right
guy.
to tell me that I have to sign for and I can't discuss this investigation with anybody?
Listen to what I have to say.
Can
Listen, if I could take the floor
they
here
tell me
for a
that
second.
I can't discuss.
You do not have to sign paper. You do not have to let them in the door, and you do not have to answer questions in any way, shape, or form. And it works the same way with
Don't
people
sign
that pull
anything.
you over. Don't answer questions. You don't have to. You just tell them,
Right.
I don't answer questions.
Okay.
Right. You don't answer questions. Don't ever sign anything where child protection is concerned, ever. Okay? And you don't have to let them inside your house. And that's why I said call Ronnie, because he will tell you exactly what to say. He will have you, he'll probably have you put his number in he'll tell you to put his number in the phone. And if they show up at the door, call him and put him on speaker. That's what he has with it. He calls critical phone calls. And if you go back and listen, what was the name of that show again? That and the
Smacking the Hornet's Nest.
The one with the mom?
It's called Smacking the Hornet's Nest.
Ronnie speaks on there. And if you go back and listen to it, you'll understand the kind of guy he is. Because one of the big fights that I'm doing, and I'm learning how to do it, Ronnie's teaching me, so I don't know enough to be able to do it to help you as much as he can. And that's why I'm referring you to him, because he knows a lot more than I do. I'm still learning. And I'd rather send you to the best than to give you, I would do my best, but if you can get somebody better, I'd rather send you to somebody better. And if you call up and you tell them you want to make an appointment to talk to Ronnie because these people are threatened, just tell whoever answers what's going on. Sometimes they'll put you through to Ronnie if he's not busy. If he is busy, they'll try to get you an appointment as soon as possible, and you call back at that time, and they'll get him on so that you can talk to him. And then he will tell you that, what to do. But 9 times out of 10 will be if they show up, call up, and you tell the person that answered this is a critical phone call, and he'll explain it all to you. But, yeah, because, he's leading, he's one of the many that are leading a fight against these people, and you don't have to sign papers. I wouldn't sign papers. Would not sign papers. I don't let them in the door. They showed up at our door one day and I said, we don't have to let you in and we're not going to let you in, and I learned from my mistakes, and I learned from what's happened in my own family. I don't sign papers. I don't let nobody in the door. I don't agree to I don't sign no release of information. Hell no. And you're not allowed to talk to my children unless I am present. Now, they're going to violate that. So you have to teach your children you don't talk to anybody. If they want to ask you any questions at all about your home life, about anything, you tell them you're not talking till your parents get there.
Oh, I've already told them that.
And it's, kids are a lot stronger than we give them credit for. I would tell my kids what's going on. I would tell my kids this is what they're trying to do, and this is why I'm telling you to do this, because we need to protect our family.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, don't tell your children that, we need to protect them. You're not protecting your children if you keep something from them. It's hurting them. I believe that bunch of bullshit, and they took, excuse my language again. God,
You're fine. You're fine.
My grandkids got taken, my kids got taken years ago, and I believe that bunch of crap, okay? And my kids came back, and it took us years, and we still deal with things, and my oldest daughter is 36 years old, and we still deal with stuff that they put into my children's heads while they had them. And my oldest doesn't have as many issues as my younger ones do. And why? Because I fell for that crap of don't tell. And then they did that to my daughter. They wouldn't let her talk to her kids about anything, And so now her kids, the Lord only knows what they think, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they do this crap, and that's why Ronnie has finally stepped up, and he's calling for people all over the country. If you love children, he you know, and if you want to fight these people, come to Florida. He's offering to teach classes and to teach people how to fight this.
Oh, I wish
You know?
I could. I'd be in there in a heartbeat.
Right, but he will teach you over the phone too.
Okay.
Because I can't make it to Florida right now either. So he's been teaching me over the phone. But he is looking for people, so anybody you know that would be willing to stand up, he's looking to make federal marshals out of people, not the federal marshals like what we have right now. We're talking about constitutional federal marshals.
Yeah.
Which, if you listen to the show, he talks a little bit about that too. He calls it boots to the ground. It's time for us to stand our ground. You know. And the best person you can get a hold of for what you're going through is Ronnie Davis.
Okay. I'll give him a call in the morning then.
He is awesome. Yes. Yeah, after 9 o'clock Eastern, and I don't know which time zone you're in, so I can't tell you your
We're
time
in
zone.
Mountain.
Oh, you're in Mountain, so you're like an hour behind Central, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, it's 9:30 here. What time is it there?
Let me check real quick. Yeah, it's 8:30.
Okay. So they're 2 hours ahead of you, so you can call anytime after 7 a.m. your time.
Okay.
And usually sometimes you got to wait till like 11 o'clock their time, which would be 10 o'clock your time, is the best time to really get a hold of him, to tell you the truth. But I guess he's changing his hours because there's so many people. He used to start at 11 a.m., and now it looks like he's starting at 9 a.m. because I went and checked out his page when Toasted was talking about it, you know. Proud American says there are too many children being abused at home. Be compliant. You know.
Yeah, but there's too many children
Yeah.
being taken away from good homes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I venture to say there's more children being taken out of good homes than there is children being taken out of abusive homes. And the proof is that children are still dying in their homes because they're still with abusive parents, while good parents are losing their children.
Right.
And
right.
why is that? It's because child protection don't give one hoot about kids. They don't care about protecting children. They care about making money. They care about laundering out our children. That's what they care about. They care about selling our children on the black market. And there are lots of kids that are being taken away and sold to be sex slaves. I don't think my grandchildren are in that, but I have read about other kids who did. That's exactly what happened to them. From our government, from our child protection system. Okay, well, they say, oh, we love children. We want to protect them. You know?
Right.
And, you know, Proud American, I have to disagree with you. He says it'll work out doing it the right way. They'll still be taken regardless. No, if we start standing up and telling people, you're not taking our families anymore, you will not have our children, they're going to have to stop if we stand together. They are strong. They are very strong. And, you know, I'm not
No,
even going to...
see, when all of this come down and they threatened to take my kids, I got a hold of Bruce and his wife, Kim, the constitutional judge, Bruce. And
Right.
They told me that once, if they do come and take our kids away, to call him immediately. He will have
Are
my
you talking about
kids
Bruce Doucette?
Yes. And
He's
he
awesome.
will have my kids returned that same day.
Yeah, he's another awesome one. Yes, I agree.
Him
I
and
talked with
him
him
and
several
Judge Darby
times,
are great.
and he's a really awesome guy.
I'd actually like
Do
to get
I?
him on the. Him and Judge Darby are great. Judge Darby of Oregon.
Yeah.
Yes.
We actually had Judge
Yes, and I've
Darby
had
on
the
our show
opportunity to talk with
last
Anna von
month.
Ritz before,
We,
and I'm trying to think of the other lady's name that I have spoken with that Debbie put on Ronnie's page a few times, and I can't think of her name now, that I've also had the honor of speaking with on the phone. So I could probably get a lot of them that are fighting child protection to come and be on the show.
Hey, that would be awesome.
You know,
The more the merrier. That's all I got to say.
it sounds like we might need this, you know, because there's a lot of people out there that could probably use listening to the show and hearing that kind of stuff, you know. And I'm not afraid of child protection. They took my grandchildren. The only thing they can do to me now is send me home to Jesus, threaten me with a good time.
I was
And I
taken
hope
away
they're
when I was
listening.
younger. I'll be damned if I let them take my kids.
Yeah, they took my daughter away, and now they took her kids away. Well, they can kiss my butt, okay? I have nothing to fear. They can take my life. I'll go home to Jesus and have a good time. They're going to answer for what they did to God above one day. Because
Right.
Jesus said that if you hurt one hair on a child's head, it's better for you to put a millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the sea than to harm one hair on a child's head. And they have been hurting a lot more than a hair on a child's head.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I have to get off here so short, but I got to get the child's bath. He's got morning.
Thank you for calling in and
Yes.
sharing what's going on with you, Danielle.
You're
Please send me a
welcome.
friend's request. Okay? Please send me a thing on Facebook.
Yeah, Danielle C. Brown on Facebook. So just send me a friend's request.
Okay, what is your name on Facebook?
Danielle C. Brown.
Danielle Brown?
C. Brown.
Okay, I'll look for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
Wow. Just
Okay,
wow.
I found her.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
I think I'm going to start getting hold of some of these people, and we're going to have another show where we talk about child protection and maybe invite
Yep.
some more people that talk about, you know, people that are going through what Danielle's going through, you know, and
I want to get Mark White Eagle back on the
link
show.
to not let them in, call Ronnie and start live streaming. I
Yep.
don't understand what he means by not let them in.
Wow. This
They
has
took
been.
LaVoy's children?
Yeah, they did. That happened a while back.
Wow, you're kidding me.
No, that actually happened a while
I
back.
didn't know they took his kids. Wow. Wow. Holy crap. What is voted best comment? Becky said something's best comment.
Oh man.
What does links mean? Not let them in, call Ronnie, and start live streaming.
Basically, he's telling
I
him
can't do
don't.
a three-way call on the phone.
Actually,
Oh, I know what he's saying. He said to call Ronnie before he don't let child protection in and call Ronnie.
I've
That's a very
actually
good idea.
I've actually got the capabilities of going live on my phone at any given time, but I've got to figure out how to get how to sync it up to Revolution News and Information. But right now, I can go live on my Toasted account anytime. And I do have subscribers. I
that
got
would
more
be
than
cool if we could get it where you could do that, because then people could start calling when things like that are while it's happening, so we can put it on there and people can hear it.
yes. I do need to create an emergency phone number, but if I'm going to do that, we need donations. Because it costs to
Yeah, that's
actually
true. We
do some of the things that we need to do, such as having a line to call without a phone, without an access code. That costs money. That costs about $10 a month. The website costs $15 a month. Not to mention the
Right.
other
Well,
expenses.
you and I were talking about some things, you know, that people that make donations, I can send them recipes and, you know, I make different things. So depending upon the size of the donation, we can send them a gift as a thank you gift for sending in a donation,
Yeah,
you know.
that would be awesome.
I mean, I have some crocheted animals and stuff like that, and, you know, I have a bunch of different recipes. We were planning doing a show. I guess I'm kind of telling ahead of time, but you can just kick my butt later, Toasted, about food and what it does, you know, what it can do to you, good and bad.
We've got
We were talking about sharing some recipes, and I could put out some healthy recipes for people, and I can email them to them or mail them in the snail mail, you know, for a donation.
We've
I would
got
be more than happy to share with people.
we've got a caller. Actually, I'm going to bring them on the line, and we've got about 12 minutes left in the show. Caller, you are on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Toasted? It's Lynx.
Leaks, what's
Hi,
up,
Lynx.
man?
Hey, I just wanted to clarify what was happening in the chat room. I had stated I need to protect my son. Becky asked, "What would you do if they came to your door to take Gary?" And I said, not to let them in. I would call Ronnie and I would start a live stream.
That's a great idea. Yes, I did finally figure it out. I'm a little slow tonight, I guess.
The
But I
thing
did finally
is-
figure it out.
Thing is, I would also be saying, okay, if you can show me in the Constitution, even the Oregon Constitution, where you can take my son, I will hear you out. And if you cannot show me any place, the Constitution, not these ordinances or these extra crap you've been throwing in, then I will hear what you have to say. Until then, stay the hell away from my house.
Right. Exactly.
The thing is, I'm in danger. What I heard before was because I'd been live streaming before, and once Garion was born, a lot of the patriots that I normally hung out with, they kind of distanced themselves a bit because they were trying to protect me and Garion, basically get us away from the limelight thing. And then when I found that out, I said, you know what? I've already done like a couple of months of live streaming before Garion was born. They have enough on me to come at me anyways, so why don't I just keep on streaming?
Right. Right.
And
you're right.
The thing is, I'm streaming because of him. I mean, I was going to quit. I was going to say, you know what, I'm done. These guys got it, or the infighting, or whatever, all the big problems, and I was tired as hell. But I kept looking at Garion, and I'm like, you know what? I need to do my best to make a better world for him, or at least set up a possible better world for him before I kick the bucket. And once he gets old enough, I'm teaching him martial arts. I'm teaching him how to hunt, fish, everything to survive.
Oh, yeah, that's, I wish I had learned, like, how to, I want to learn how to garden and that so I can grow my own vegetables and stuff, And I know for people that know how to do it, they say, oh, that's easy. But it's not as easy, especially if you live in an apartment, to figure out what you can grow.
Yeah, I do live in an apartment, and we would be growing our own potatoes, but it's the Nightshade family, and we've got a cat that likes to nibble on plants. I don't want her to go.
No, we don't want that to happen. I'm not fond of cats, but I just still don't want to kill none,
Exactly.
I'm a dog person, but, I wouldn't want my dog to be chewing on plants and dying.
Here's the thing, and I realized just a second ago, my answer should go for anybody else that has a computer, has a camera, has a microphone, because I put a video out how to start live streaming on YouTube. If the child protection people show up, don't let them in. Start up a live stream and call Ronnie. You just research how to start up a live stream through my channel. My channel's got how to live stream on YouTube. And just
is that
learn
links to the truth?
Yep, links to truth.
Okay, I will do that after the show. Go over and subscribe to your channel and that. Yeah, because Coach has been trying to teach me the internet stuff too, because I don't know all that much about it. So he's been teaching me, and like I don't even know how to build a website. I was thinking of building one where we could, sell some things so we could use that money to help people out,
Oh yeah.
And
Toasted.
Yo.
You what?
Toasted, are you still there?
Yes, I'm on the line with you. I got a little bit of lag in between us.
Okay, you're quiet. Okay, Toasted, I just want to say I've been listening. You're doing great, man. You're doing great. You're damn good job.
I'm glad you think so.
I'll let you guys go. Do what you need to do on the show. I'll keep listening, but I wanted to clarify my answer, and I realized that could be an answer for just about anybody, because if they start going viral on YouTube where the CPS is constantly being viewed by hundreds or thousands of people, they're going to start being off.
Hey, real quick before you go, I got something to tell you. I got to go off air for it, but I still want to tell you it too. I'm going to go off air for a second. We'll be right back.
Okay.
And we're
don't
back.
want to tell nobody. Here's more in the secrecy.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm not.
You don't want anybody to know that you're going to have somebody on tomorrow?
I want it to be a surprise. I want it to be a surprise. Now you know.
Okay, cool. And if you let me, I would be more than happy to jump in and give my support on that.
I'll send you a link in mod chat. Be looking for it tomorrow.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys go. You have fun, and keep up the damn good work. I mean, getting information out is how we're going to turn this around, guys.
Right. Thanks so much, Lynx. You're a very good support in the chat. I love reading what you say. I'm glad you came on. I was starting to get nervous because for a while we only had just one or two people on, and I was like, So I'm glad that you called in, and I'm glad Danielle called in and shared what's going on in her life.
Well, the reason I came and watched this was because Becky, she's awesome at this. Becky sent me a message saying that you guys were on live now. So after I was finished watching Gavin Sign, I jumped over here and started listening to you guys.
Oh, cool. Becky's awesome.
Is a big supporter of all the Patriots.
She's a what?
She's a big supporter of all the Patriots, and she loves listening to us rant.
Okay. Well, I hope I did a good job for you tonight, Becky.
All right, I'm hanging up and going to keep listening.
Thanks, Lynx.
Oh, man, I love Lynx on the line.
Yeah, you have an awesome following of people. They are just awesome.
It's going to get bigger tomorrow.
I'm Proud American, what he's saying. He's saying a lot of stuff. He or she is saying a lot of things that are, I don't know. Some people are very, very scary. They'll just have to go with it and fight the corrupt. Oh, that's Becky. Thank you, Becky. She said I'm doing awesome. Best way is to be proactive and have a plan before it happens. That is true, but some of the things on here, I'm not sure what Proud Americans saying. They'll just wait because they have all the time in the world.
I just want to say that tomorrow at 3 Eastern, Becky, please be here tomorrow at 3 Eastern, because as soon as you realize who's on the line, you're going to want to share this far and wide.
Right.
I just told Lynn.
I got here for no other reason to see what Becky has to say about it all.
Oh, man.
Is that your name on Facebook too, Becky?
I'm going to put my Facebook account here in chat. You all add me, and then I'll add you on my other account, and we'll go from there. Oh, let's see here.
Okay.
I hope to get Judge Darby on again. I might have to ask a question Wednesday night. I don't want to be out of line, though. So, everyone, that's my Facebook. Drop me in chat. Well, I dropped it in chat. Drop me a line on Facebook. Yes, you will be surprised to see the name, but don't worry. I will be adding you on my other account. If I realize you or if you're a mod. This is my public account. So,
Danielle says thank you, Toast.
thank you for coming on the line. And I don't mind having people. I don't mind people calling in. Hey, I'm going to switch from my cell phone to my headset.
But like I said, I don't mind people calling in at all. If you've got something to get off your chest, then by all means, call in. Get it off your chest. It's time.
Yeah, it helps keep the show going, too. Like today, hearing what people have to say and that really helps to keep things going, keep the conversation going, and keeping people interested in what's going on. I like it when people call in, personally.
It's not an awesome show unless they call in. It really isn't.
Very hard to hear you right now, Toasted, just so you know.
I know, but
it sounds like you're far away.
I have no way of turning this up on my end. I'm not the one who's so far away when I feel the snake bite into my veins. All right, that's enough of that.
All right. No drinking before the show, Toasted.
I don't drink. I drink Mountain Dew. I'm a Mountain Dew type of person. I'm a hillbilly.
You're on the air.
I've got a bottle. You know how long this eighth of Hennessy has lasted? 3 months. 3 months. I shit you not.
Yeah. Oh, Becky sent you a friend request.
I will be receiving it soon if I haven't accepted you already. Oh, there it is. Confirm. All right.
Yes.
Be looking for my other Facebook account to be adding you. Sing it. Oh, no. No.
She said sing it.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Becky. Yeah, sing it. Okay.
All right.
I think we had a good time tonight. We started off a little slow.
It always does start off a little slow, but tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern,
Tomorrow,
12
3
p.m.
Eastern.
12 p.m. Pacific. You're going to want to be here. Seriously. Set your
2 p.m.
clocks.
Central.
Set your clocks. Put it on your calendars. 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific. Be here or be square, because you're not going to want to miss that show. And if the guest wants, I will open up the call-in lines, but I'm going to leave that up to them. And Lynx knows who it is. Becky, I'm going to send you a message on the Facebook webs here, and I'm gonna tell you who we got. Your jaw's gonna drop. But I ask you to keep that to yourself for right now, until I decide to say it. If I decide to say it, which right now I haven't decided. So that will be that. And it has been a very good show. We need to do some closing comments. Any final comments or closing thoughts, prayers, or otherwise?
Well, I would like to say a final prayer. Send
Go
everybody
ahead.
out with a prayer.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeshua, we thank you so much for being our Lord and Savior. We thank you for being with us and bringing this great group of wonderful people who shared and loved and...
What just happened? What just happened? Oh. That just happened. Please pray again. We lost you. my call system dropped out.
Ah, okay. I was wondering why the music started. I thought, okay. I said, thank you, Yeshua, for bringing all these wonderful new friends together for us to edify each other, to help each other, to care about each other, and just thank you for everything. We thank you and praise you in your precious name. Amen.
Amen on that one.
And
with
thank
that,
you, all my new friends out there. And Proud American says he's going to be here. She's going to be here with popcorn.
all right.
Tomorrow.
That sounds good.
And Link says, "Mwahaha."
I'm going to drop the link to the show tomorrow in chat. Make sure you set a reminder for y'all self. And there you go. That's it. But anyway, thanks for all watching.
Right.
Thanks for watching, y'all. Oh, man, this has been a great show. It turned out to be a very, very great show. Oh, this has been...
I was worried about it, but it turned out great.
And thank you all for coming and listening to the show. Thank you all for listening to my annoying voice. Yes, I have an annoying... Oh, thank you again.
Annoying voice, too.
Thank you again, all, and good night. This has been Revolution News and Information. It is... 10? Is it 10 already, Central? Really?
10:01. Yeah.
10:01 Central on
10:01 Central.
5/22/16. And our next show is going to be in 15 hours and 58 minutes. So we'll see you then. Peace, everyone.
Peace.